Look at what she has become, from a universally adored home shopping queen on television to a sloppy middle-aged woman with messy hair reeking of baby formula and diapers. Who could believe that the woman bowing her head and apologizing profusely for her naughty child is the very star who once shone the brightest? Today is a story about the price of sacrifice. Our main character, Na-jong, represents the obsession of countless women, supposedly having a husband, yet on her 40th birthday, still has to drag 2 kids along, carrying bags under her arms to the gathering because her husband is busy with work. The scene at the restaurant is truly bitter. While her 2 best friends are gorgeously dressed up, Na-jong wears mismatched shoes. Her best dress was stained by her child, forcing her to hastily change into a casual at-home t-shirt. She devours her food like someone starved for years, taking advantage of every minute before the kids start crying again. The sympathetic, even pitying looks from her friends feel like needles piercing her self-esteem. The climax of this humiliation is when she runs into a former colleague in this pathetic state, while the big screen still replays her glorious image from the past. That contrast makes anyone looking feel a pang of sadness. But this movie isn't just about the tears of a housewife. The 2 best friends accompanying Na-jo may look glamorous on the outside and scold her relentlessly, but they are also riddled with wounds. One is wealthy but lonely, the other is successful but wasting away from a desperate desire for a child. 3 women, 3 midlife crises at 40. Will they resign themselves to fate, or will they rebel together to find themselves again? Let's follow their tragicomic journey right now. Ju-young's biggest sorrow is her prolonged inability to have a child. At the restaurant, she pours her heart out to Il-ri about her arduous and stressful journey to conceive. Her biological mother urges her every day to have a baby to settle the family down. Meanwhile, her mother-in-law frequently makes snide remarks about her being too old to give birth easily. Ironically, her husband, Sang-min, acts indifferent, as if it's none of his business. Actually, Ju-young isn't desperately obsessed with having children either, but she is acutely aware of the burden of age weighing heavily on her shoulders every day. She is in her 40s, so if she doesn't give birth now, she fears it will be too late for regrets later. Arriving home, Ju-young finds that her mother has already prepared a fridge full of bitter herbal medicine. She hopes these prescriptions will help her conceive more easily in the near future. But getting pregnant isn't something she can achieve through her efforts alone. That night, Ju-young wears a sexy nightgown and sprays fragrant perfume to seduce her husband, but she waits forever, and Sang-min still hasn't come home, even though it's past midnight. It isn't until almost dawn that he sneaks back home with an exhausted look on his face. He intentionally came home late to avoid marital intimacy. Being middle-aged, he seems to have lost interest in passionate bedroom desires. In a fit of anger, Ji-young checks her husband's bag and discovers a secret. She finds a sexy anime girl action figure carefully hidden inside. It turns out he would rather indulge in these virtual toys than be intimate with his real wife. Seeing his wife furious, Sang-min hastily takes off his clothes, intending to make it up to her. But despite struggling for a while, he still can't perform due to a physiological issue. Ju-young is so furious that she pulls off her stockings and throws them right at his face in absolute helplessness. His erectile dysfunction has been going on for a long time, not just a day or two. The remaining friend is Il-ri, a successful woman in the glamorous fashion industry, but she also faces her own romantic troubles with no one to confide in. She is dating a younger toy boy who is also a catwalk model. Guy has a handsome face and a perfect physique that infatuates many, but whenever Il-ri wants to take their relationship further, he subtly finds a way to step back. Sometimes, Il-ri wonders if he just sees her as a walking ATM. Na-jong's underlying grievance, ultimately, also revolves around the man beside her. Today is her birthday, but Won Bin comes home dead drunk. Na-jong can't help but scold her husband for his thoughtlessness and irresponsibility. She just wants a free, comfortable, and fun birthday with her friends. She hoped her husband could come home a little early to help look after the kids so she could go out. But even such a simple and reasonable request is not met. With the smug look of a drunkard, he opens the gift he prepared for his wife. Who would have thought it was a kitchen apron, leaving Na-jong to smile bitterly through her tears. The foolish husband even innocently ties the apron around her and praises her beauty. However, Na-jong can no longer hold back her tears of self-pity. She directly confronts her husband about the resentments she has bottled up for so long. She longs to go to work to contribute, not just be a housewife stuck in the kitchen. The reason she hasn't voiced these feelings before is that she didn't want to seem selfish. At night, Na-jong sits alone in the dark living room watching a home shopping channel. On the screen, her junior is energetically and attractively introducing a product. Na-jong instinctively recalls her own glorious days of the past. Back then, she was just like that girl, shining brightly on stage and confident in front of the camera, and now, she looks back at her harsh reality. Now, she seems destined to simply grow old lonely amidst a pile of endless household chores. That night, after coaxing the two kids to sleep, Na-jung texts her two best friends. In the group chat, Na-jung and Ju-young apologize to each other for their harsh words that afternoon. Illinois Ri steps up as the peacemaker to mend their friendship. She and Ju-young both share the belief that Na-jung is a woman of real capability. They advise her to go out and work to unleash her potential instead of burying herself at home. Ju-young adds a philosophical thought: it's better to live with a little guilt than to live in resentment for a lifetime. The sincere conversation with her best friends makes Na-jung even more determined. The next day, Na-jung boldly brings up the idea of returning to work to her husband. She expresses her desire to resume her previous forte as a home shopping host. Her husband immediately pours a bucket of cold water on her relentlessly. He argues that she could never balance a high-pressure job with a family and young children. He also constantly emphasizes the age issue to discourage his wife. He thinks that a woman in her 40s has no need to torture herself by joining the career rat race anymore. However, Na-jung's will becomes firmer and stronger than ever. She has even started secretly looking for a new house to move to for work convenience. Very soon after, Na-jung finds a satisfactory house that meets her needs. But who would have thought the landlord is Mi-suk, her old middle school classmate? Back in school, the two had fierce fights and a deep, unresolved grudge. Mi-suk is now very successful and wealthy, surprising Na-jung. Even more coincidentally, she is also a famous home shopping host, just like Na-jung used to be. Upon learning Na-jung is looking for a job, Mi-suk proactively invites her to join her team, but to save face in front of her old rival, Na-jung blurts out a lie. She claims that everything is fine and she has already found another ideal job. To make commuting to work easier, Na-jung decides to rent Mi-suk's house. After settling the housing issue, she busily works non-stop to send out her resumes. However, reality is cruel, as almost all the companies she targets reject her. Even when Na-jung humbles herself by offering to work without pay, no one accepts her. In utter despair, Na-jung pins her final hope on her former company, Sweet Home. Recently, this shopping channel has been recruiting a host for a special show. It is a program dedicated to those who want to return to work. After a long break, Na-jung wants to apply, but this intention is fiercely opposed by her husband. He has absolutely no faith in his wife's abilities. After being away from the profession for so many years, he believes she is past her prime and will fail miserably in her career. While Na-jung is saddened by her husband's interference, her best friend Il-ri is also troubled by her love life. Her pilot boyfriend hasn't answered her texts or calls for over a week. Tonight he finally calls, but doesn't offer a single word of concern for her health. He shamelessly just wants to borrow Il-ri's computer for personal work. He even asks her to conveniently bring over a jacket he left at her place. Illinois Ri is speechless at the thoughtlessness and exploitation of her younger lover. She immediately drags her suitcase straight to her boyfriend's studio and declares an instant breakup. But shortly after, the scene of their breakup argument is photographed. That image is quickly posted online and becomes a laughingstock for everyone to gossip about. Colleagues comfort Il-ri, believing that breaking up is a completely new beginning. They congratulate her on returning to the single world full of infinite possibilities, but Il-ri doesn't think so optimistically. She still has many lingering feelings in her heart. In the evening, Illinois Ri goes to Na-jung's house to seek comfort. Drowning her sorrows in alcohol, she harshly curses her boyfriend with her two friends. She admits she knew all along that the only thing her boyfriend loved was her money. Throughout their 3 years of dating, he had never spent a single penny on her. Every time they went out to eat, right when it was almost time to pay the bill, he would always dash into the restroom. Illinois couldn't help but lament that she had wasted 3 whole years of her youth on a scumbag. However, scolding aside, she changes the subject and praises his only merit. That is the incredible bedroom skills he brought her. Illinois Ri declares that her awful boyfriend was the most vigorous among all the men she had ever dated. She doesn't care about deep love. She only worries that after breaking up, she won't find anyone better. When Il-ri is dead drunk, Na-jung and Ju-young turn the conversation back to job hunting. Na-jung confesses she really wants to return to her old company, but is worried they won't accept her. Hearing this, Illinois Ri slurs that if Na-jung keeps hesitating forever, she will never achieve anything great. She advises Na-jung to just bravely submit her resume first and figure the rest out later. Ju-young also wholeheartedly encourages Na-jung to boost her confidence. She believes that Na-jung's ability to face her heart's desires right now is already very admirable. If that's the case, why not take a step further and try her absolute best to see what happens? The sincere encouragement from her two best friends reignites the flame of hope hope in Na Jong's heart. In the middle of the night, when her husband is sound asleep, she quietly gets out of bed and goes to the living room. Standing alone in front of the mirror, she passionately practices what she will say at tomorrow's interview. While Na Jong is preparing for work, Illinois Ri is regretting the breakup. That day, Illinois Ri goes to the studio where her boyfriend works with the intention of making up. The colleagues there all advise her to let it go and reconcile with the guy. Illinois I also notices her boyfriend stealing glances at her from time to time. Her boyfriend is shooting promotional photos for a female model at the company, but the model criticizes his photography skills as being too poor. Annoyed, she complains that she looks too fat in the photos and that it lacks professionalism. At the critical moment, Illinois Ri steps up to publicly defend her boyfriend. She bluntly states that unedited real-life promotional photos couldn't possibly look as glamorous and flawless as edited ones. After work is done, Illinois Ri takes the initiative to strike up a conversation to break the silence. She says he has been mad for quite a while this time, and also proactively apologizes for demanding the breakup first. For Ri, the breakup was just an impulsive remark made in a moment of anger, but she didn't expect her boyfriend to take it seriously and be psychologically prepared to cut ties completely. He coldly states that since they have broken up, they shouldn't drag things out and cause trouble anymore. Illinois Ri hastily chases after him to explain, but unexpectedly witnesses a heartbreaking scene. Her boyfriend is passionately kissing another woman in the studio's parking lot. At that moment, Illinois Ri snaps awake and realizes the harsh reality. It turns out her boyfriend had found someone new a long time ago. She was the only one acting like a foolish clown. Ju-young also felt she had fallen into a similarly ironic situation. Today, she and her husband had agreed to use their lunch break to go to a motel near her company together. She intended to try a novel location for intimacy, thinking it might help with getting pregnant. In his text message, her husband had agreed immediately and even said he had canceled all his meetings. However, by noon, Ju-young discovered a hilariously tragic mishap. The restaurant where her colleagues gathered for lunch was located right next to that motel. Ju-young had to sneak around like a thief to avoid being spotted. Afterwards, she stealthily put on a fully zipped raincoat and crept along the wall to slip past the area. With great difficulty, she managed to avoid the prying eyes of her curious colleagues and reached the motel safely. Ju-young called her husband to ask for the room number he had booked. Who would have thought he would pull his old trick to evade his husbandly duties? He lied, saying he had suddenly gotten severe indigestion and a terrible stomachache. Ju-young was furious and mercilessly cursed her bastard of a husband over the phone. Returning home that evening, after calming down, she tried to sit down and have a serious talk with her husband. The reason she wanted a child, apart from the urging of both families, was their marital affection. She hoped that by having a child, the two of them could become more intimate and bonded. She couldn't understand why her husband had completely lost sexual interest in his wife. Faced with his wife's relentless questioning, the cowardly husband couldn't utter a single word of explanation. He used his old trick as usual, dashing into the restroom to escape the conversation. Na Jong received good news from Sweet Home Company, notifying her that her resume had passed the screening round. Na Jong was overjoyed and immediately called her husband to share the good news. But her husband's reaction was completely contrary to her expectations. He constantly brought up their children as an excuse to stop his wife. He stubbornly insisted that his wife should endure and sacrifice for a few more years for the sake of their kids. That evening, Na Jong and her husband had a fierce argument about her going to work. In their 6 years of marriage, she had wholeheartedly shouldered the responsibilities of a good wife and a good mother. Now that the kids were a bit older, she simply wanted to go out and work. That's all. Her patriarchal husband still couldn't accept his wife's progressive views. He always thought of himself as the sole breadwinner of the family. He arrogantly emphasized that his worries and his wife's worries were on two completely different levels. Na Jong smiled bitterly. It turned out that in her husband's eyes, she should only be a messy-haired housewife. The next day, Na Jong took her 2 kids to school and discovered an ironic coincidence. The kindergarten was about to hold an important observation day for parents, and unfortunately, that date perfectly coincided with her important interview day. In that moment, Na Jong fell into a state of immense hesitation and inner turmoil. Should she wholeheartedly accompany her children's growth, or should she be a little selfish? She couldn't decide between being a good mother and realizing her own self-worth. Before making the difficult choice, Na Jong still began practicing to prepare for the interview. Every object in the house, from her toothbrush to her curling iron, became a prop. She conveniently used her skincare products as sample items to practice selling. That night, there was a new message in the parents' group chat. The mothers were enthusiastically discussing the the important observation session at school tomorrow. Na-jong typed a message, announcing she had to go to an interview tomorrow and would be absent, but on second thought, she deleted the message out of fear of being judged. The next day, Na-jong took a risk and decided to leave her kids at school to go to the interview. Unexpectedly, while on the road, she received an emergency call from the teacher. The teacher reported that her son suddenly had a high fever and needed a family member to come immediately. With no other choice, Na-jong had to bitterly abandon the interview halfway through. She hurriedly turned her car around and headed to the hospital to take care of her sick son. That evening, when both kids were sound asleep after the fever, Na-jong had to hold back her silent tears. She hated herself so much at this moment for always having to face such cruel choices. The following day, while going to the supermarket with her friend, Na-jong bought a lot of beer to drown her sorrows. Now, apart from drifting aimlessly in alcohol, she couldn't think of any other possibilities. While chatting with her friend, the two of them took turns bad-mouthing their thoughtless husbands. Right at that moment, Na-jong unexpectedly received a text message from Sweet Home Company. They informed her that the company's interview had been rescheduled and she still had a chance. The starting time was merely an hour away. To grasp this precious final opportunity, Na-jong decisively acted immediately. She took off the sauce-stained t-shirt she was wearing, she borrowed her friend's clothes, and hastily did her makeup on the way to the company. But upon arriving at the interview location, Na-jong spotted a familiar face. Unexpectedly, Mi-suk was also sitting there waiting for an interview just like her. But as if that wasn't enough pressure, her former boss from years ago was also present. Many years ago, one day Na-jong received a call from her nanny saying her child was sick. Without a second word, she left the company on her own accord to rush back to her child. Because of that, she was even late for an important meeting with a major partner. Right before the meeting, the nanny called again, making the situation even more tense. Her superior demanded that Na-jong make a choice right then and there, her job or her family. If she answered the phone, she would have to leave the company immediately. At that time, after a brief moment of hesitation, Na-jong still decided to answer the call out of concern for her child, and as a result, she lost her job. Now, having to face that strict former boss, Na-jong's emotions were incredibly complex. This time, Na-jong and Mi-suk entered the interview room together for a direct face-off. Mi-suk was also a mother, but she had the advantage of having a professional nanny to take care of her children. The superiors assigned a task, asking both of them to do a mock TV home shopping presentation on the spot. With her rich experience in live stream selling, Mi-suk's performance was extremely fluent and smooth. Surprisingly, Na-jong didn't sell the product in the conventional way like her rival. Instead, she appealed to the customer's psychology, using an emotional storytelling approach to integrate the advertisement. She tried to touch everyone's hearts, using her genuine experiences as a housewife. The final result was beyond expectations. Both Na-jong and Mi-suk were hired. Being hired, Na-jong was incredibly joyful and called her husband to share the news. Little did she know, right at that moment, her husband Won-bin was secretly meeting with another woman. Her friends were happy for Na-jong, but she explained that this was only the second interview round. Next, there would be a final round that would determine her success or failure. At that point, she would have to go live on air to introduce a product to the audience. She needed to dress beautifully and professionally, and she had to choose the product type herself. This would definitely be another tough and fierce battle with the other candidates. That evening, when her husband came home, Na-jong excitedly told him about the interview result. However, her husband gave her the cold shoulder, didn't congratulate her at all, and maintained his old attitude. Everything he said was full of contempt and disparagement towards her efforts. Na-jong was furious. She only now realized that her husband was a selfish and stubborn man. But regarding her work, Na-jong had made an ironclad resolution. No matter how much her husband objected, she would never give up on her dream this time. To pass the final interview round, Na-jong began taking a crash course weight loss class. She cycled frantically every day with the desire to get her figure back as quickly as possible before the test day. Her group of close friends also actively chipped in to cheer her on. They decided to give Na-jong a complete physical makeover. So the next day, the three women went to a fashion boutique, freely picking out clothes and getting their hair done. After shopping to their heart's content, the three of them shared a delicious meal they hadn't enjoyed in a long time. In front of her best friends and good food, Na-jong comfortably talked about the lack of intimacy with her husband. She bluntly said that lately, just looking at her husband felt annoying and she didn't even want to touch him. The signature dish of this restaurant was their interesting fortune cookies. Inside each cookie hid a slip of paper with random fortunes. Na-jong picked a slip with a cryptic message. A storm begins with the flap of a butterfly butterfly's wings. At that time, Na-jong completely didn't understand what the deeper meaning of this sentence was, but her two best friends compared the prophecies on their slips to their own real lives. Ji-young picked a slip that read, "Break the mold and wait for new opportunities." Although she didn't fully understand the meaning, for Ju-young, she could relate anything to getting pregnant. That evening, her impotent husband took the initiative to suggest they go to couples counseling together. Feeling guilty towards his wife all this time, the husband wanted to try finding a way to thoroughly resolve the issue. Ju-young was naturally overjoyed at this suggestion. Finally, her husband had mustered up the courage to face this unmentionable matter. Not long after, the two went to see a psychologist for therapy, but this doctor had a very strange and unexpected method. She didn't ask about the husband's delicate psychological issue, but instead pointed the finger at Ju-young. The doctor bluntly stated that during intercourse, Ju-young absolutely shouldn't mock or belittle her husband. She explained that men are very sensitive to criticisms regarding their masculinity. Ju-young felt bewildered and wronged. Bedroom matters were already hard to talk about, and she wasn't sure if her words and actions actually made her husband feel insecure. The psychologist moved on to conduct a bizarre experiment on Ju-young's husband. She used a bedsheet to tie him up tightly like a cocoon. She demanded that the man use his own strength and willpower to break free, as if breaking out of a cocoon to become a butterfly. Throughout the process, Ju-young stayed constantly by his side, enthusiastically cheering him on. Seeing her husband unable to stand up, she and the doctor each grabbed a corner of the bedsheet. They used all their might to pull the husband up from the ground, hoping he would regain his manhood. As a result of their carelessness, Sang-min's forehead slammed hard against the ground with a loud thud. The highly anticipated therapy session ultimately ended in humiliating failure. On the drive home, Sang-min stopped at a roadside pharmacy to buy painkillers and bandages. At this time, Ju-young was sitting in the passenger seat and accidentally noticed a strange detail. On her husband's driver's seat, there was a long strand of brightly dyed hair, completely different from her black hair. It was clearly not her hair, and her intuition told Ju-young that her husband was up to something shady. She began to suspect her husband of having an affair. That midnight, Ju-young secretly took her husband's phone while he was sound asleep. She tried entering many passwords related to birthdays and their wedding anniversary, but couldn't unlock it. Right at that moment, she discovered a secret gift box hidden under the desk in her husband's private study. Opening it out of curiosity, she was stunned to see an incredibly sexy and daring piece of lace lingerie inside. Ju-young couldn't hold back her jealousy any longer. She grabbed the lingerie, ran straight into the bedroom, and woke her husband up to confront him. Sang-min, half asleep, rolled his eyes and awkwardly replied that it was a gift he bought for his mother. He defended himself by saying that the elderly also have the right to body liberation and to feel beautiful anyway. Hearing this, Ju-young was half believing and half doubting, but having no further evidence, she had to stay silent. The next day, she immediately went to her company and tactfully discussed the topic of sexy lingerie for the elderly with her female colleagues. According to her colleagues, it was indeed true that some modern older people still like to wear this kind of daring lingerie. Hearing that, Ju-young temporarily dismissed her suspicions towards her husband and blamed herself for being too paranoid. Meanwhile, Illinois Rhee was still endlessly entangled with her awful ex-boyfriend. That day in her apartment's parking lot, Illinois Rhee discovered a strange car blatantly occupying her private parking spot. After calling the car owner via the number left behind, a whiny girl's voice answered, acting quite unconcerned and making her wait. After waiting for quite a long time, the car owner slowly appeared with a cocky expression. What shocked Il-Rhee to her core was that the car owner was actually her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. She was also a beautiful and powerful female representative of a rival magazine publisher. The representative acted cute and innocent, but her words were actually full of thorns and totally unyielding. She even threatened that the magazine Il-Rhee was in charge of had terrible sales lately, threatening to use her connections to get it suspended. Illinois Rhee was fuming with anger, but being in a weaker position, she still had to obediently make way for her car to leave. After the representative and her ex-boyfriend arrogantly drove past her, Illinois' eyes accidentally landed on a pair of dolls hanging in their car. It was the exact cheap gift her ex-boyfriend had once given her on some Christmas when they were still deeply in love. Even though at that time, she had gifted him a set of expensive designer clothes, while he had only given her back a pair of street vendor dolls worth a few thousand won. Thinking back to the past and the injustice of it all, Illinois Rhee felt even more unbearable resentment. She immediately stepped on the gas, sped up to chase them, and recklessly blocked the representative's car. The ex-boyfriend angrily got out of the car and yelled loudly. However, Illinois Illinois RI wasn't intimidated or embarrassed at all. She rushed over and roughly force-kissed her ex-boyfriend right in front of the new girlfriend, who was staring wide-eyed from inside the car. Afterwards, she turned and bluntly told the representative to her face that she had been sugar-mummying this man for 3 whole years. She took care of his meals and bought him everything he needed, but in the end, she still got dumped mercilessly. She warned the representative that it would be best to be careful with this gold-digging man. After saying that, Illinois RI forcefully yanked down the souvenir dolls and threw them away. Witnessing that decisive and fierce action, the representative, instead of being jealous, immediately developed a strange admiration for this crazy older sister. Even though she had pulled off a really cool act of revenge, deep down, Il still felt unresigned. She continued to interrogate her ex-boyfriend to see if he had been hooking up with the representative for a long time. The shameless ex-boyfriend explained that Il was actually the one who crossed the line first. He said they had clearly agreed from the start to date without getting married. But while dating, Illinois Rye had broken the rules multiple times by mentioning marriage, causing him pressure. Her ex-boyfriend's harsh words completely shattered Ilri's illusions about love. Heartbroken, she turned to drown her sorrows in alcohol alone. But unexpectedly, while drunk, she carelessly sprained her neck, resulting in excruciating pain. Coincidentally, after going to the hospital to see a physical therapist, Illinois RI discovered that her treating doctor was none other than Song-gyu, an old acquaintance of hers from college. As for Najo, she was frantically preparing for the final interview round that would determine her career's fate. But her time was extremely tight. She only had from midnight until dawn, when the whole family was asleep. Before midnight, she had to coax her 2 naughty sons to sleep. Only when the children were sound asleep did she have the opportunity to do her own work. In the quiet, unnoticed darkness of the night, Najong faced her phone camera and recorded herself. Time and again, she rehearsed the gestures and speech of a professional home shopping host. Because this was the final showdown and her last chance to turn her life around, Najong needed to have the best and most perfect preparation. The next day, Najong's sister-in-law found out she was planning to go back to work. She didn't outright object, but she made discouraging remarks. She reminded Najong that the outside world nowadays was changing very rapidly and was extremely harsh. A housewife who had stayed at home for 6 years like Najong might not have enough strength to adapt to the pressure. The sister-in-law even used herself as an example to warn Najong. She said that even for families where both spouses work, it's usually just glamorous on the outside, while full of conflicts on the inside. Najong needed to mentally prepare herself firmly if she didn't want her family to fall apart. Wonbin was also working at Sweet Home Company. Recently, there was a rampant rumor in the company that Wonbin was having an extramarital affair with a young, beautiful female colleague. Department head So also knew about this and had secretly warned him. She demanded that he cut ties completely with that female colleague immediately. Otherwise, if Najong happened to pass the interview and join the company, everything would blow up and be unsalvageable. To hide his despicable affair, the husband went home and handed Najong some business cards from other companies. He sweetly coaxed his wife not to go to Sweet Home Company, but to try applying to those places for a more comfortable environment. However, Najong had her own determination and self-esteem. She had previously given up her career at Sweet Home to take care of her children. Now she longed to return to the exact place she had fallen to prove herself. Seeing her husband unreasonably insisting she go to another company, Najong couldn't help but feel suspicious. She wondered if her working at the same company would somehow make him lose face. Wonbin couldn't state the real reason, fear of his affair being exposed, so he had to bitterly give in to his wife's wishes. Her husband's obstructive attitude and her sister-in-law's discouraging words made Najong start to doubt her own abilities. Feeling insecure, she thought that what they said wasn't wrong. This world was changing too fast. She spent all day just hanging around the kitchen taking care of her kids. Perhaps her knowledge and skills had long lagged behind the digital age. That day, Najong helped her neighbor, Jin Hee, watch over the kids' flea market, stall at school. At the market, each child made their own small crafts to sell for fundraising. Only Jin Hee's daughter, because her crafts were ugly, couldn't sell anything, and the little girl sobbed in self-pity. To help the little girl, Najong didn't hesitate to bring pots and pans right into the middle of the market. She started demonstrating and pitching the sale on the spot like a true host. She introduced the miraculous functions and effectiveness of the scouring pad the little girl had made. Thanks to Najong's eloquent and charming speaking skills, the little girl's unsold scouring pads were instantly snatched up by housewives. Jin Hee witnessed that scene and believed that a talented Najong like her still had her true capabilities intact and hadn't hadn't faded at all. Encouraged and empowered by her friend, Na-jung mustered all her courage to step onto the stage for the final interview round. Unlike the other candidates and her old classmate Mi-suk, who were gorgeously groomed, dressed with elaborate makeup, Na-jung appeared simply in a familiar apron, holding a handmade bar of soap in her hand. This seemingly ordinary bar of soap was exactly the product she had chosen to advertise. Relying on her practical experience as a housewife all this time, Na-jung's introduction of the soap was incredibly vivid, authentic, and appealing. She convinced the judges using everyday stories that touched the hearts of consumers. Not long after, the interview results were announced. Via text message, Na-jung tremblingly opened her phone to check. It was good news. She had officially been hired. After receiving the good news from Sweet Home Company, Na-jung happily invited her two best friends out for a lavish meal to treat them. During the meal, Na-jung and Ju-young asked about Il-ri's recent romantic situation. Illinois-ri recounted that a few days ago, when she went for physical therapy for her sprained neck, she reunited with an old acquaintance, Sang-ju. Back in college, the two had gone through a phase of ambiguous feelings for each other, but it didn't work out. Now, Sang-ju also happened to drop by the restaurant where the three were eating. Both Na-jung and Ju-young felt that Sang-ju definitely still had feelings for Il-ri based on the way he looked at her. They advised her to try opening her heart and giving him a chance to see how it goes. Previously, Illinois-ri found Sang-ju to be average-looking, but after not seeing him for many years, the more she looked at him now, the more pleasing and mature he seemed. What surprised Il-ri even more was that Sang-ju and she were living in the same apartment building and were even neighbors living directly opposite each other. Reaching her door, Sang-ju gallantly walked her home and repeatedly reminded her that if any pervert or ex-boyfriend harassed her, she must call him immediately. Just as Il-ri was about to open her door to go inside, suddenly, her gold-digging ex-boyfriend walked out from her apartment. Startled and panicked, Illinois-ri fell into Sang-ju's arms. The shameless ex-boyfriend explained that he came to retrieve a tablet he had forgotten. Seeing Sang-ju standing there, he jealously asked who this man was. Annoyed, Illinois-ri told him to stop meddling in other people's private lives. Then, subconsciously, she tightly grabbed Sang-ju's hand, pulled him right into her house, and slammed the door shut. Inside the house, afraid her ex-boyfriend outside would hear, Illinois-ri practically glued her body to Sang-ju. She shouted a lie outwards, saying they broke up because he was too annoying. Illinois-ri, standing so close, made Sang-ju's heart pound wildly out of rhythm. After confirming the ex-boyfriend had left, Sang-ju carefully stayed to witness Il-ri changing to a new door password. Then he thoughtfully reminded her once again to find him immediately if anything happened. Having passed the interview rounds, Na-jung officially arrived at Sweet Home Company for her first day of work. She discovered that Mi-suk had also been hired in the same batch. Returning to the corporate environment after 6 years, Na-jung tried to be humble and build good relationships with her colleagues. Unfortunately, two of her juniors from the past were not very tactful. They boastfully said that Na-jung was a senior with TV experience, while others like Mi-suk had only done amateur live stream selling. They disparaged Mi-suk for never having hosted a professional show before, saying she couldn't be compared to Na-jung at all. Although Na-jung humbly waved her hands in denial, the insensitive remarks of those two angered Mi-suk and the other new colleagues. Feeling insulted, Mi-suk bluntly declared to Na-jung that if Na-jung relied on her past experience to demand special treatment, Mi-suk would not let her off the hook. Every new employee was assigned a mentor, and ironically, the person assigned to mentor Na-jung was none other than Wai-na, the very junior from the past who had a grudge against Na-jung. Wai-na immediately ran to plead with department head Seo to revoke this decision. Previously, she and Na-jung had heated arguments, resulting in a very bad relationship, so she absolutely hated having to work together. Seeing that the department head wouldn't agree to change mentors, Ina came up with a malicious scheme. She intended to use her position as a mentor as an opportunity to suppress Na-jung and teach her a lesson she would never forget. Na-jung accidentally overheard Wai-na's calculating conversation. For the sake of a peaceful office life later on, Na-jung decided to proactively yield. She went to meet Wai-na and bowed her head to make peace first. She acted humble, saying she had been out of work for 6 years. Her knowledge had faded, so now she was completely a beginner starting over. She hoped Wai-na wouldn't hold on to the past, but would generously treat her like a junior needing guidance. Right at this moment, an incident occurred at the studio. The product demonstration model scheduled to go on air was suddenly absent due to a traffic accident. In the urgent situation, Na-jung proactively offered to help by acting as the replacement model. Ina, with her malicious intentions, lied to her that this time they would be introducing a hair care product to create a better promotional effect for a hair product. Na-ong enthusiastically and deliberately wet her hair to make it look greasy and flat. But when she arrived at the studio with a soaking wet head, she was dumbfounded to discover that the product being introduced was actually makeup cosmetics. Faced with Na-jong's bewildered question, Ina pretended to be innocent as if she knew nothing. Instead, she loudly blamed everything on Na-jong for not thoroughly studying the script. Near getting off time, Ina harshly scolded Na-jong for ruining the show's image. Na-jong silently endured the grievance without daring to talk back a single word. That evening, she needed to attend the company's welcome dinner for new employees. But ironically, both sets of grandparents had sudden engagements and couldn't help watch the kids. Na-jong ran to ask her husband, but Won Bin used the excuse of rushing to a meeting and slipped away before she could say much. Out of options, Na-jong had to thick-skinnedly contact Jin-hee, asking her to help look after her two naughty kids for a few hours. At the dinner, department head Seo introduced Na-jong to the other senior managers. She introduced that in the past, Na-jong was a highly capable and talented employee under her command. But later, because of her children, she abruptly quit her job, making her very disappointed and regretful. Na-jong bowed her head and expressed to department head Seo that with this return, she would definitely do her absolute best not to let her down. After the dinner party, Na-jong was dragged by her colleagues to a karaoke bar for a second round. To integrate into the new environment and win her colleagues' favor, Na-jong had to try her best to participate in the dancing and singing. Department head Seo whispered a reminder in Na-jong's ear that for a nursing mother just returning to work, she needed to put in several times more effort than an ordinary person to prove her worth. Na-jong nodded repeatedly, but her facial expression showed hesitation and worry, wanting to speak but stopping because she missed her kids. Seeing this, Wina immediately mocked her. She said that if Na-jong couldn't even stay until the end of an important party, then why did she return to the company just to be a hindrance? Na-jong didn't dare to argue. She hurriedly asked for permission to leave early and ran to her neighbor's house to pick up her kids. Arriving there, she caught the scene of Jin-hee having a tense argument with her daughter. It turned out that because she had to babysit Na-jong's two kids, Jin-hee had to kick her daughter, who was studying for university entrance exams, out to a tutoring center for some peace and quiet. Na-jong felt incredibly apologetic and guilty. Fortunately, Jin-hee was very kind and understanding. Not only did she not blame Na-jong, but she also brought her a hot box of curry rice for a late dinner. Faced with her neighbor's warm care, Na-jong couldn't hold back her tears of self-pity. While eating, returning to the workplace for a mother of two was not as easy and glamorous as she had imagined. Jin-hee gently comforted and encouraged Na-jong. She told her to believe that if she just tried a little harder, waiting until the kids grew up and became independent, Na-jong would definitely feel lucky for her brave choice today. For Jin-hee, helping Na-jong wasn't just out of neighborly duty. She said, "To some extent, Na-jong, you are living out the dream of a job and a career that I missed out on." Empowered mentally by her neighbor, Na-jong finally wiped away her tears, smiled, and became determined to face the upcoming thorny challenges. Na-jong's two best friends were also facing their own storms. Illinois rediscovered that she hadn't had her period for 3 months. However, after using a pregnancy test, it only showed one line. Ju-young anxiously accompanied Il-ri to the maternity hospital for a checkup. The doctor delivered the devastating news. She was a typical case of premature menopause. This meant that Il-ri's ovarian function was severely declining, and she had almost no chance of conceiving naturally. Illinois R.I. completely collapsed inside, but in front of Ju-young, she still tried to act strong, as if it wasn't a big deal. While working at the editorial office, Illinois Ri absent-mindedly imagined the prospect of growing old lonely with no one to rely on. At this rate, Illinois Rai was certain she would become a single old woman, living all alone, without children, surrounded only by garbage and loneliness. Illinois Rai truly wanted to get married and have children like any other woman, but the current situation of her single life and aging ovaries seemed to not allow her to continue her vain daydreams. Ju-young's situation was exactly the opposite. She was surrounded by the pressure to have a child from all sides. That day, her mother-in-law asked Ju-young out and gave her a carefully wrapped gift. Ju-young opened it and blushed. It was a pair of old-fashioned, granny-style warming underwear for the uterus. The mother-in-law rambled on, lecturing that if a woman wants to easily conceive, she must keep her lower abdomen warm. Ju-young awkwardly accepted the gift. She clearly understood that her mother-in-law was hinting and urging her about giving birth. After taking her mother-in-law home, Ju-young noticed something strange. All of her husband's online shopping parcels were being sent to his mother's house address instead of their own. Her mother-in-law then handed handed Ju Young a bag of amulets. She complained, wondering what bad karma she had created to have a daughter-in-law who couldn't bear an heir. When alone, Young muttered with full of resentment, "Why don't you consider if it's an issue with your precious son's erectile dysfunction?" Out of curiosity, Ju Young secretly took one of her husband's parcel packages from her mother-in-law's house. She nervously opened it to check, unexpectedly finding a very scary-looking silicone mannequin head inside. She didn't understand what her husband bought this bizarre thing for. Na Jong's difficulties at work continued unceasingly. Recently, the company needed to select new products to promote for the autumn campaign. Na Jong proposed choosing an automatic indoor exercise bike. She analyzed that this machine was very suitable for the target audience of elderly people who needed light exercise. However, Na Jong's passionate idea was bluntly rejected by Wina right from the start. Wina criticized Na Jong for having an outdated mindset, unable to keep up with dynamic market trends. But ironically, in the official meeting with the boss right after, Wina blatantly stole Na Jong's idea. She loudly presented that choosing the automatic bike was her own unique initiative. Even the core selling points of the advertising campaign were copied exactly from what Na Jong had analyzed. Department head Seo nodded in approval of this idea and praised Wina profusely in front of everyone. After the meeting, Na Jong sought out Wina to reason things out, but Wina shamelessly denied everything, refusing to admit her act of intellectual theft. Na Jong was furious. She declared that she would not endure being bullied forever anymore. Next, the company planned to sell a specialty fresh apple product, and Na Jong came up with another great idea. She suggested the crew go directly to the orchard to film on location. She wanted to show the audience the entire clean and fresh harvesting process. Her superiors highly approved of Na Jong's creative idea. Conversely, Yina only had a pretty face, but couldn't think of any feasible ideas. On the shooting day at the orchard, Na Jong was busy rolling up her sleeves, researching the product, and directing the filming. As for Wina, because she vainly sprayed heavy perfume on herself, she was carelessly stung in the face by a bee in the orchard. Na Jong hurriedly took Wina to the hospital for first aid. Due to her severely swollen and deformed face, Wina was completely unable to appear on camera to host the live show. With time running out, department head Seo ordered Na Jong to replace Wina as the main host for this shopping program. Na Jong hurriedly drove back to the studio. To increase the promotional effect and create a sense of closeness, she purposely wore a housewife's apron. Relying on her kitchen experience and thorough preparation at the orchard, Na Jong delivered an almost perfect TV home shopping presentation. She convinced the audience with her sincerity and product knowledge. After the program ended, the massive stock of apples in the warehouse was almost completely sold out in record time. Na Jong also received a congratulatory phone call from department head Seo. She highly appreciated Na Jong's outstanding performance today. She decided to grant her a special exception to end her internship early and promoted her immediately to the position of co-host. Na Jong held the phone with trembling hands, almost crying from happiness. Her silent dedication and unremitting efforts had finally been rightfully rewarded. But behind her back, Wina was secretly finding ways to obstruct Na Jong's rising career. Wina secretly went to meet Won Bin. She hoped he could use his authority as a husband to convince his wife to quit her job at the company. Why? Na absolutely didn't want to have an older woman like Na Jong steal her fame and position. Ina believed that Won Bin definitely wouldn't want his office affair to be discovered by his wife when they worked in the same place. However, this time, Won Bin unexpectedly chose to protect his wife. He demanded that Wina not arbitrarily gossip or interfere in his wife's business. The next day, Na Jong checked the company's new broadcast schedule. She discovered her name wasn't on the host list, even though she had been promoted. After asking department head Seo directly, she learned that Wina was the one who used her main host privilege to object to Na Jong being her co-host. Na Jong immediately went to find Wina to demand an explanation. Previously, when Wina was stung by a bee, Na Jong only out of kindness replaced her on air to save the situation. She didn't expect Wina to return kindness with such despicable malice. Na Jong poured out all her frustration about Wina to her two best friends. Illinois RI suggested Na Jong should confront her directly and report Wina's bullying behavior to the superiors, but Ju Young opposed this approach. She analyzed that Na Jong was just a newly promoted employee, while Wina was already an official employee with seniority and a fan base. Even if she reported it, the one to suffer in the end would definitely still be the powerless Najong. It would be better to think of a wiser scheme to win her over. After finishing her story, Najong asked about Ilri's gynecological checkup. Ilri didn't want her friends to worry more, so she deliberately brushed it off. She lied that the doctor said it was just simple menstrual irregularity due to stress, and taking medicine would cure it. On the way back, Ju-young asked Ilri if she had ever thought about freezing her eggs for the future. Actually, it wasn't that Ilri hadn't thought of that solution, but the doctor had bluntly said that with her current premature ovarian failure, it would be very difficult to freeze eggs successfully. Ji-young's sorrow over suspecting her husband was still there and smoldering. That night, she thought of her husband's mysterious parcel sent to her mother-in-law's house. With high suspicion, Ju-young decided to break into her mother-in-law's house when she was out. She went to the corner of the storage room where she had found the parcel the other day. She saw that deep inside the messy pile of belongings, there was another secret room. The room was filled with action figures and dolls of all sizes, along with a lot of sexy women's clothing. When opening another closet door, Ju-young was nearly scared to death. She screamed when she saw a woman sitting motionlessly inside. She mustered her courage, tremblingly stepped forward, and realized it was a life-size sex doll, meticulously made up to look like a real person. Even worse, on the bed in that room, there was another doll, but without a head. Next to it was a photo of Sang-min, posing affectionately with these two dolls like a married couple. Right at that moment, the sound of her husband's footsteps echoed from outside the door. Ju-young hurriedly hid beside a cabinet and overheard her husband's bizarre conversation with the two dolls. He caressed them and said that the fact his wife recently came home drunk and stopped mentioning having children made him feel relieved and safe. Ju-young couldn't control her fury anymore. She dashed out from her hiding spot to confront her husband. Through the heated argument, she learned that these freakish dolls had existed since before they got married. Ju-young scolded her husband as a sick pervert and threatened to set fire to all these dolls. During their struggle, she accidentally broke the arm of one of her husband's beloved dolls. Immediately, Sang-min hugged the broken arm doll and sobbed uncontrollably, as if his own wife had just been injured. In that moment, looking at her weak and deviant husband, Ju-young felt completely disappointed, and her feelings turned ice cold. Back to work, Najong came up with a smart strategy to win against Wina. Illinois. Ri was the powerful deputy editor-in-chief of a prestigious fashion magazine, and Wina happened to be a massive fan of Ilri and her fashion style, so Najong called Ilri, asking her to invite Wina for an interview for the magazine. After Ilri reluctantly agreed to help her friend, Najong told Wina about this golden opportunity. She hoped the two could put aside their personal grudges to cooperate for mutual benefit. She knew Wina wanted to become more famous and hoped that after participating in the interview, Wina would return the favor and nominate her as a co-host in major shows. Naturally, the ambitious Wina didn't want to miss the chance to appear in a major magazine, so she immediately pretended to be close with Najong again. Because she was helping her best friend, Illinois Ri tried to suppress her aversion towards Wina during the interview. Iena even acted enthusiastic, insisting on introducing a boyfriend to Ilri. When Ilri looked at the photo, she saw a middle-aged man with a huge beer belly, far from her aesthetic taste. What was even more ridiculous was that during the interview, Wina tastelessly and publicly brought up the topic of menopause and period loss in front of Ilri. She even innocently asked Ilri if she was drinking pomegranate juice, a favorite dietary supplement for perimenopausal women. Illinois Ri's secret pain was touched, so she couldn't stand it anymore. She sharply changed the subject and asked Wina back about her secret to rapid weight loss. Wina had tried her best to hide her obese past. She lied blatantly, saying she naturally had a body type that struggled to gain weight, but in reality, her weight loss relied entirely on painful liposuction surgery. Fortunately, this interview filming finally ended smoothly without any major physical altercations. Najong could also breathe a sigh of relief. Na was very excited because she was about to be in the magazine. She ambitiously wanted to be a star, but when being a home shopping host, the main character is always the product, not herself. But while making small talk after the shoot, Na once again proved to be incurably tactless. She enthusiastically reintroduced the beer-bellied man to Ilri. She advised Ilri to face reality. She even said Ilri was already 41 years old already, so if she didn't get married now, it would be too late. She also told Ilri not to be too picky. Ina completely failed to realize that Ilri was turning purple with rage. She even shamelessly asked Ilri to cut out the sensitive weight loss topic segment from the interview they just did. Illinois coldly refused. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Najong hurriedly pulled Ilri aside to talk privately. She advised her friend to hold back a little, listen to Wina, and edit the article article to keep the peace. Illinois Rai got even angrier. She bluntly stated that she hated Why Na. She said if it weren't for Na Jong's request, she would never in her life let someone like her be featured in her magazine. It would truly be staining the pages. The two's frank conversation was accidentally overheard entirely by Why Na, who was standing nearby. Why Na left in anger, assuming that Na Jong must have badmouthed her a lot behind her back to Il-ri on normal days. Na Jong hurriedly chased after to explain and apologize to Why Na. But at the same time, tonight's incident had also reignited the pent-up grudges from both their pasts. Na Jong still vividly remembered the words Ina used to criticize her before. She said Na Jong was a lazy full-time mother who refused to work hard and only knew how to rely on her husband. True, being a full-time mother is not a joyous privilege, but in everyone's life, there are difficult and unfavorable phases. Must she use that weakness to drag her down and look down on her? Ina loudly yelled back that she used to resent Na Jong out of jealousy, but she also admitted she used to be very grateful because Na Jong arranged the interview for her. But now that Na Jong went behind her back bad-mouthing her to a best friend, her character was no good either, no different from herself. After being vented at by Why Na with a barrage of anger, Na Jong went back to look for Il-ri, only to find out her friend had gone home early in a huff. Arriving at her own home, Illinois Rai, in a fit of despair, gathered all her stockpile of sanitary pads into a black bag and threw it straight into the trash can. That action was like wanting to throw away her last hope of becoming a mother. When Na Jong called her, she didn't even bother to pick up. Instead, in a mood of reckless abandon, Illinois decided to seek out a marriage brokerage agency to urgently find a husband, regardless of standards. However, after reviewing Il-ri's profile and qualifications, the matchmaking agency staff rated her only at A level C. Il-ri was incredibly surprised, and her pride was hurt. She was confident in her beautiful appearance, prestigious career, and reputation in the fashion industry. How could she be ranked so lowly as a C? The matchmaking agency frankly explained that the fashion magazine industry Il-ri worked in was not favored by men in the marriage market. Furthermore, compared to her career, Illinois Rai's age issue was the biggest hurdle. After all, at the age of 41, the possibility of natural conception is very difficult. Illinois Rai emphasized that she had no intention of having children and didn't need an overly wealthy man. But when asked about a specific ideal type, Illinois Rai vaguely just said two words: the feeling. The matchmaking agency staff nodded, pretending to understand. They promised to try their best to find Il-ri an outstanding man who fit her strict conditions. The next day at the company, Na Jong was still trying to find a way to apologize to Why Na to resolve their conflict. Suddenly, she received news that Why Na abruptly requested to change the co-host for the upcoming show, and the person chosen as the replacement this time was actually Mi-suk. That evening, there was an important company party. Na Jong called her husband at home, telling him to take good care of their two kids. As she ended the call, Na Jong accidentally witnessed an eyesore scene. The department head was sexually harassing Why Na in a hidden corner. Due to Na Jong's sudden appearance, the male department head had to stop and walk away. However, Why Na not only wasn't grateful to Na Jong for rescuing her, but also turned hostile. She warned Na Jong not to go around blabbering nonsense about this behind her back. The next day, Why Na didn't come to work, causing Na Jong to feel extremely worried inside. She decided to go to Why Na's house to check on the situation. Standing in front of the door, Na Jong heard the phone ringing continuously inside, but no one picked up. Having a premonition that something was wrong, she found a way to get inside. Inside the house, Ina was lying sprawled on the floor, trying to reach for her phone to call for help, but lacking the strength, Na Jong hurriedly took her to the hospital for timely emergency treatment. Why Na had to undergo an emergency stomach surgery. While in a coma during the surgery, memories of her tough past years flashed in Why Na's mind. Originally, she was a chubby, food-loving girl who was always mocked for her appearance. To lose weight and reach the position she was in today, she had to give up her favorite foods and treat herself cruelly. After waking up, Na Jong explained to Yina that because she only drank coffee instead of eating rice and starved herself excessively, her stomach was severely damaged. In addition, Na Jong sincerely apologized to Why Na for bad-mouthing her the previous time. She explained she didn't really resent Why Na, it was just that there were pressures at work, so she sought out a best friend to complain a few words to relieve stress. Hearing the sincere apologies and seeing Na Jong's care, Ina couldn't hold back her tears. Crying, she told Na Jong about her own inner struggles. She said Na Jong had a husband and children to rely on, while she only had her work as her entire life. She had tried her absolute best for her job, but every time Na Jong appeared, she stole her spotlight. How could she not be jealous of? The company felt that Mi-suk's hosting experience was not solid enough, so they still intended to have Na Jong act as the replacement co-host. But when thinking about why Na's tearful confidences in the hospital room, Na Jong fell into hesitation. She didn't want to continue hurting her colleague. At this time, Mi Suk called and told Na Jong to come out to the cafe in front of the company for an urgent matter. Na Jong arrived and was stunned to see her husband sitting with a strange young woman. That girl was crying profusely like rain in front of her husband. While Na Jong was still wondering and not understanding what was going on, the other woman proactively explained. She introduced herself as also a sales MC for Sweet Home Company. Because she was facing difficulties with her contract renewal, she had asked Na Jong's husband, an influential producer, to help introduce her to a new job. Won Bin tried to hide the unease on his face and advised Na Jong not to overthink things. At this moment, Mi Suk walked over to discuss business. Mi Suk claimed that Na Jong had stolen her broadcasting opportunity and shamelessly demanded Na Jong yield that position back to her. Na Jong firmly refused. She said she earned this opportunity through her own true ability and hard work, so why should she yield it to someone else so unreasonably? But Mi Suk turned to threaten her using the housing issue. She reminded Na Jong that the house she was renting belonged to her, and if she didn't know her place, she should watch out. Unwilling to be suppressed, Na Jong swore to use her true abilities to defeat Mi Suk fairly. Returning home that evening, she immediately plunged into diligently researching the upcoming products to prepare really well. However, the next day at the company, Na Jong witnessed with her own eyes Mi Suk secretly leaving an expensive gift to the show's producer to curry favor. Na Jong pulled Mi Suk into a secluded corner and seriously reminded her that such bribery was unfair competition. Mi Suk turned a deaf ear, declaring that no matter what tricks she used, she had to win the broadcasting opportunity at all costs. Na Jong also refused to be outdone. She deliberately dropped her thick product research file in front of the producer. The purpose was to let him see her seriousness and diligent preparation efforts. A moment later, Mi Suk checked the new broadcast schedule and angrily discovered the co-host for the upcoming program was still named Na Jong. While fuming, Mi Suk happened to see Na Jong playfully and intimately interacting with a man in the hallway. After probing a senior colleague, she learned that the man was none other than Won Bin. He was Na Jong's husband, but also a powerful producer in the company. Mi Suk immediately grasped this weakness to attack Na Jong. She went around gossiping with colleagues everywhere that Na Jong got the opportunity thanks to entering through the back door with her husband. She even assertively fabricated that during the interview, Na Jong's husband must have leaked the exam questions to his wife beforehand. To isolate Na Jong, Mi Suk and two other malicious colleagues created a private group chat. They began bad-mouthing Na Jong in it, calling her an incompetent, petty person who only knew how to rely on family connections. That day, Na Jong went to the kindergarten to pick up her son after school. Although small, the boy was very mischievous. He showed off to his mother that he had just made a pretty new girlfriend. Na Jong looked over and was surprised to discover that her son's girlfriend was actually Mi Suk's daughter. Seeing this, Mi Suk hurriedly ran over and dragged her daughter away forcefully. She forbade the little girl from ever associating or playing with Na Jong's son again. At the company, Na Jong faintly heard from a senior that Mi Suk and the colleagues were throwing a celebratory party but purposely didn't invite her. However, Na Jong was not someone to easily concede and be tormented. That evening, she took the initiative to go straight to the party without needing an invitation. Seeing this, Mi Suk stood up and spoke directly to her face. She firmly asserted that Na Jong was favored for promotion thanks to a shady relationship with her husband. Na Jong wanted to explain the truth, but the colleagues were already poisoned. They didn't believe her and even scolded her for being shameless. Na Jong's two best friends were also struggling with their own storms. Recently, within Ju Young's company, an absurd rumor circulated that she was about to divorce her husband. After asking a close colleague, Ju Young found out that the hateful team leader was the one who spread this false rumor. Just because he happened to see her coming out of a motel and overheard her arguing with her husband on the phone, he deduced and insisted that Ju Young was having an affair. Ju Young went fuming with anger to find the team leader to demand an explanation. Not only did he not apologize, but he also shamelessly asked Ju Young in front of everyone who her new boyfriend was. Too furious at the insult, Ju Young grabbed him by the collar and scolded him fiercely right in the office. Afterwards, both were called to the superior's office for disciplinary action. Ju Young had to swallow her pride and explain the truth that she went to the motel simply because it was her ovulation day and she wanted a change of scenery to easily conceive with her husband. The next day, Ju Young met her mother and younger sister. Her sister already had 2 children and constantly showed off her happiness in front of Ju Young. The tactless sister even asked if the older sister still not having children was because the brother-in-law was weak or because her her own machinery had issues. Depressed and too lazy to explain, Ju-young intended to walk away, but as soon as she turned her back, she heard her sister and mother whispering and gossiping about her. They believed that the inability to get pregnant was definitely because her husband had physiological problems. Even though her family didn't have deep malice, Ju-young still felt hurt and angry. She turned back and emphasized that both her husband and her marriage were completely normal with no problems whatsoever. After calming down, Ju-young went to the secret basement at her mother-in-law's house to meet Sang-min. He was still hiding there, keeping company with his lifeless dolls. Ju-young advised her husband to come home and suggested taking him for intensive psychological therapy, but he cried like a child, saying he didn't want to explain or be treated at all. He only wished to divorce her as quickly as possible to be free. Under Ju-young's resolute questioning, the husband finally told the heartbreaking truth. He said that living with her was too suffocating and stressful. Every day he opened his eyes, it was all about pregnancy, ovulation, and children. He screamed that he was a human being with emotions, not her breeding machine. Thinking of her husband's harsh words and looking at the notification on her phone that today was her ovulation day with a high chance of conception, Ju-young couldn't help but smile bitterly in sorrow. Afterwards, she hid alone in her car and sobbed uncontrollably like an abandoned child. As for Il-ri, she started going on blind dates arranged by the matchmaking agency, but her date turned out to be a weird and stingy man. After meeting, he didn't even want to politely order her a cup of coffee. While Il-ri enthusiastically introduced herself, the self guy just buried his head in his phone playing games. Before they could even exchange 2 sentences of small talk, he hurriedly asked to leave. While Il-ri was frustrated about the disastrous date, she quickly saw that same man immediately meeting another woman at the next table. Il-ri stormed over and scolded him harshly right to his face. She suspected this guy was a decoy from the matchmaking agency, planted to sabotage dates and discourage clients so they would have to buy a more expensive, themed VIP package. The exposed man turned around and lectured Il-ri instead. He said that she was old yet used photo editing apps to deceive people and was actually just an unmarketable old spinster nobody wanted. Hearing those insulting words, Il-ri almost got into a fistfight with him right on the spot if someone hadn't intervened. After causing a massive ruckus at the cafe, Il-ri only felt her stomach growling with intense hunger. She went into a casual diner intending to grab a quick meal, but unfortunately the place was crowded and she ran into a large family group waiting for a table. Seeing her alone occupying a large table, that group kept whispering, gossiping, and glaring at her relentlessly. The restaurant owner was also in a tough spot and hinted that she wanted Il-ri to give up the table or leave so she could seat the large party. Il-ri hurriedly made an excuse and quietly left in self-pity. At this moment, she suddenly felt truly lonely and lost in the crowd. Thinking of her ironic situation, Il-ri couldn't help but burst into tears right on the street. Sang-ju happened to pass by and accidentally saw Il-ri standing there crying alone. He immediately approached and took her to eat a hot bowl of snail noodles to relieve her mood. It was still Sang-ju who understood Il-ri best. Knowing she often splashed broth on her clothes while eating, he delicately took off his jacket to lend her as a makeshift apron for protection. Il-ri drank until she was dead drunk, pouring out all her inner loneliness and fear to Sang-ju. She confessed that she was terrified of growing old alone with no one by her side. Seeing a drunken Il-ri almost pick a fight with a customer at the next table, Sang-ju hurriedly paid the bill and gave her a piggyback ride out. Lying on Sang-ju's broad back, Il-ri was like a child finding a pillar of support. She breathed in the familiar and pleasant scent of his perfume. Sang-ju brought Il-ri back to her room, gently laying her down on the bed and covering her with a blanket. However, using the alcohol as liquid courage, Il-ri wrapped her arms tightly around Sang-ju's neck and kissed him passionately. Sang-ju also couldn't suppress his long pent-up feelings for her. And then, what was bound to happen happened. They spent the night together in the intoxication of love. Na-jeon's troubles at the company were not over yet. The conflict between her and Mi-suk reached their superior, department head Seo. Mi-suk firmly asserted that Na-jeon's employment was due to a prearranged and biased setup. To ensure fairness and quell the rumors, department head Seo decided to temporarily withdraw Na-jeon's name from the official broadcast schedule. She let Mi-suk and the other interns take turns as co-hosts as a test, but she also set a condition: if they didn't host well enough, they would be mercilessly eliminated immediately. The results were predictable due to their lack of practical experience and stage presence. The intern colleagues ruined the recording session miserably, but afterwards, instead of blaming themselves, they thick-skinnedly went to pick a fight with Na-jeon. They blamed all their bad luck on her supposedly bad juju. When it was Mi-suk's turn to co-host, she was very confident at first, but Unexpectedly, when going live, she continuously made silly mistakes due to psychological stress. Mi-suk not only constantly and rudely interrupted the main host, but also gagged while taste testing a food product. Afterwards, the main host fiercely scolded Mi-suk for her lack of professionalism and for ruining the show. She demanded that Mi-suk take full responsibility for the completely botched program this time. That day, Na-jong went to the kindergarten to pick up her kids as usual. Coincidentally, she saw Mi-suk's husband also coming to pick up his daughter. Na-jong suddenly remembered that this guy was a notoriously rebellious and troublemaking teenager back in their school days. Her son had also once mentioned that Mi-suk's child didn't want to live with her dad out of fear. Thinking of this, Na-jong grew suspicious and hurriedly found an excuse to block the man. She quickly wittedly informed the teacher that this guy was trying to take the child away without telling the mother a single word. To stop the man with bad intentions from kidnapping the child, Na-jong bravely dragged him to the nearest police station to clear things up. Right after, Mi-suk also rushed to the police station with a panicked expression. She lunged at her husband, cursing him terribly and demanding he return the money he stole. Later, gently comforted by Na-jong, Mi-suk burst into tears and poured out all the feelings she had kept hidden for so long. It turned out that the reason she was trying her absolute best, using every trick to get into Sweet Home Company, was to have a stable income to win custody of her child from her terrible husband. But with the program ruined this time, Mi-suk was terrified of getting fired and losing her child. The kind-hearted Na-jong decided to let go of their old feud to help Mi-suk. She gave Mi-suk her notebook of hosting secrets. Mi-suk was touched and no longer held any malice. She sincerely asked Na-jong to personally teach her the skills. Na-jong then brought Mi-suk to her house, wholeheartedly passing on her hosting experiences and secrets to her friend. Thanks to Na-jong's dedicated teaching, in the next broadcast, Mi-suk delivered a perfect and impressive hosting performance. Also thanks to this event, the two women resolved all their misunderstandings, turning from sworn enemies into understanding friends. That evening, when Na-jong went home, her part-time maid suddenly quit. The reason was that Na-jong's get-off work hours were too erratic, affecting the maid's life. Na-jong was incredibly worried, but in a short time, she couldn't find a suitable and reliable helper. She had no choice but to contact her father-in-law to see if he could come over and help babysit. Unfortunately, her father-in-law had just fallen and hurt his leg. Walking was inconvenient, so he couldn't help. Na-jong was in a tight spot and had to rack her brain to think of another way to manage the housework and the kids. Her best friend Il-ri was also having equally troubling matters. Last night, Illinois I got drunk and in an impulsive, uncontrolled moment spent the night with Sang-ju. When she sobered up the next morning, she tormented herself and felt like going crazy from embarrassment. Her mind kept playing back Sang-ju's cryptic words before they made love last night. He had said that one day he would make her like him. Illinois Rai was bewildered, not understanding if Sang-ju's words meant he genuinely liked her seriously or if it was simply a man's sweet talk to get her into bed. Eventually, Illinois Rai started sinking into all sorts of fantasies and overthinking. She thought if it were the realistic Na-jong, she would definitely say it was the sweet seduction of a playboy. And if it were the romantic Ju-young, she would certainly insist it was a sincere confession. For a moment, Illinois Rai didn't know how to properly interpret Sang-ju's true feelings. Early the next morning, Illinois Ri and Sang-ju opened their doors at the same time to go to work. To avoid an awkward situation, Illinois Ri pretended to have temporary amnesia. She blatantly lied that she had forgotten everything that happened after getting drunk last night. Who would have thought Sang-ju would also play along with her act? He didn't mention their one-night stand at all and brushed everything off lightly as if nothing happened. While at the company, Illinois Ri was still daydreaming and speculating. She wondered if Sang-ju was dissatisfied with her performance in bed, hence his coldness. Too curious, she probed a young subordinate. The thing is, Sang-ju always gave off a very pleasant masculine scent, but it wasn't like ordinary perfume or soap. The knowledgeable subordinate replied that it was pheromones, also known as a man's natural sex attractant. Illinois Ri couldn't believe her ears. One must know that in the past, Sang-ju was just a rustic college boy with average, unremarkable looks. To confirm this, Illinois Ri texted Sang-ju, using the excuse that her neck still hurt and she wanted to go to the hospital where he worked for more physical therapy. Before going, she kept telling herself that the purpose of this trip was to observe more closely. At the same time, she wanted to completely shatter her illusions about Sang-ju. Unexpectedly, while he was focused on treating her, her eyes looking at him subconsciously sparkled and her heart pounded erratically. After the therapy, seeing Sang-ju happily chatting and laughing with a young, pretty female nurse, Illinois Ri suddenly felt inexplicably jealous. Sang-ju Sunju invited Ilri to dinner, but she acted childishly sulky and walked very fast out onto the street. Right at that moment, a delivery motorbike rushed from behind at high speed. In a critical second, Sunju quickly pulled Ilri back and hugged her tightly in his arms to protect her. At that moment, Illinois Ray's face turned beet red, and the smart heart rate monitor watch on her wrist beeped constantly because her heart rate spiked. She hurriedly took off the watch and hid it, still unable to admit her strange, fluttering feelings for her old friend in her heart. As for Ji-young, after her husband asked for a divorce, she decisively threw all the herbs and pregnancy-boosting tonics in the house into the trash. When her mother learned of her daughter's divorce decision, not only did she not stand by her side to comfort her, but she also demanded that she endure and let it go. She reasoned that her husband wasn't having affairs or being physically abusive, he just had a slightly weird hobby, and tolerating it a bit would be fine. However, after Ji-young pressed for the reason, she discovered the heartbreaking truth. Her mother advised her not to divorce, just to save her own face. Her mother was a widow. She didn't want society and relatives gossiping that she lacked blessings, letting her children have broken divorces. Ji-young was both furious and utterly heartbroken. She couldn't understand why her mother could value vain face over her own daughter's lifelong happiness. Actually, before getting married, Ji-young had vaguely realized there was something psychologically off about her husband. But at that time, her mother kept emphasizing his prestigious university degree and stable job, stubbornly forcing her daughter to marry him at all costs to make her proud. Faced with her daughter's resentful tears, her mother offered countless sophisticated excuses. She said she did it entirely because she wanted what was best for her future. In the face of her mother's coldness and imposition, Ji-young's long-suppressed emotions almost collapsed. She blamed her mother for being too selfish and cruel. In extreme depression, Ji-young went to Ilri's house, buried herself in her friend's arms, and cried her heart out. Having Ilri by her side listening and comforting her, her mood improved greatly. While chatting, Illinois Ari mentioned Sunju living in the opposite apartment. It just so happened that Ji-young wanted to relieve stress and find new fun, so she came up with a bold idea. She went straight to the opposite apartment, knocked on the door, and invited Sunju to drink to drown their sorrows together. Thanks to the alcohol, the usually cold and serious Ji-young suddenly became unusually lively and adorable. She was even complimented by Sang-gyu for being cute when drunk. She also didn't pay attention to Il-ri sitting next to her with a worried expression. Ji-young bluntly asked Sunju about his private love life. She asked if he had a girlfriend yet, and if he wouldn't mind trying to date her. Hearing these words, Illinois Ri's heart burned like fire with jealousy, but she didn't dare speak out. Unexpectedly, Sunju smiled and replied that he already had someone he liked. The moment Sunju's sentence ended, Illinois Ri's heart pounded wildly once again with nervousness. Ji-young curiously pressed him to see who Sunju liked when, suddenly, an uninvited guest arrived. Illinois Ri's ex-boyfriend, along with his current girlfriend, appeared, ruining the mood. Meanwhile, Najong was still having a headache finding someone to babysit. She intended to ask her biological mother to help out for a few days to get through the busy period, but thinking about how her mother was already working hard, helping her brother and sister-in-law look after their paternal grandchild, Najong backed down and didn't dare to ask aging and frail mother to work too hard. But her mother was wholeheartedly thinking of her daughter. When she knew Najong was going back to work, she quietly brought delicious food to the house and even took the time to help tidy up the house neatly. After finishing everything at her daughter's house, she hurried off to pick up her granddaughter from school on time. Even though she wholeheartedly took care of her granddaughter and looked after her son's family, the daughter-in-law never said a kind word or thanked her mother-in-law. On the contrary, she treated her mother-in-law like a cheap maid, constantly making all sorts of unreasonable demands and bossing her around. Najong's brother was even more selfish and thoughtless. Hearing that Najong was planning to ask their mother to babysit, he immediately got anxious and called her right away. On the surface, he pretended to remind his sister not to let their mother work hard and to protect her health, but in reality, he was afraid his sister would steal his family's exclusive free nanny. Returning home from work in the evening and seeing the ready-cooked meals her mother left on the table, Naong was touched and hastily called her mother. She was very worried that if her mother kept running back and forth like this, her health wouldn't be able to bear it. Slumbered. She comforted Najong to just focus on working. Her daughter being able to go back to work made her immeasurably proud. Conversely, at her son and daughter-in-law's house, she had to endure all kinds of coldness and nitpicking. Just out of love for her grandchild, she secretly gave her granddaughter a sweet candy, only to be harshly scolded by her daughter-in-law for fear of tooth decay. She even made insinuations that she shouldn't run over to Na-jong's house, meddling in other people's business, resulting in missing the pickup time for her child. Treated so poorly by her daughter-in-law, she got angry and decided to go on strike and stop working. She told her son and daughter-in-law to go find another maid themselves, who was cheap and easy to boss around as they wanted. That evening, Na-jong sat drinking with her mother in a small pub to have a heart-to-heart talk. She poured out all the feelings she had harbored for so long to her daughter. She said she was also human, also wanting a peaceful, leisurely, and happy old age. She wanted to learn artistic flower arrangement and learn to brew coffee for enjoyment. But the harsh reality was that every day she had to go clean up the messes for her children, not having a single full day of rest for herself. Na-jong felt pain seeing her mother have to endure like that. That night, Na-jong accidentally read the messages in the senior friends group chat on her mother's phone. She then learned that it turned out her mother really wanted to travel abroad with her old classmates. But because she was tied down by her children and grandchildren and family responsibilities, she still hadn't been able to fulfill that small wish. Before going to bed, Na-jong gently stroked her mother's calloused hands and applied lotion for her, not knowing since when the hardworking mother she loved the most seemed to have aged a lot, her hair turning much grayer. The next morning, her mother woke up early again, bustling to cook delicious dishes for her daughter to take to work. Enjoying the food made by her mother's own hands, Na-jong felt incredibly satisfied and warm. That evening, her thick-skinned brother and sister-in-law came to Na-jong's house looking for their mother. The sister-in-law pretended to apologize to her mother-in-law. She hoped she would come back to help look after the child because they couldn't find anyone. But while talking, the attitude of the married couple lacked any sincerity or remorse. They even shamelessly said that the mother-in-law was good at everything, except she should curb her sulky temper. Na-jong, sitting nearby, couldn't stand listening to those unreasonable words anymore. She stood up abruptly, pointing right at her brother's face, scolding him for his extreme selfishness. She said in the past, precisely because her brother treated their mother like a full-time maid, occupying all her time, that she had to struggle managing on her own. She had to juggle between work and kids to the point of ultimately having to quit her job in regret. Furthermore, she emphasized that their mother was the one who gave birth to and raised them, not a slave. She wasn't someone you could call to come and chase away on a whim. The brother had no right to order their mother around like that. Na-jong listed out every fault and thoughtlessness of her brother. He also refused to concede, arguing back aggressively and almost getting into a physical fight with his sister. The mother and sister-in-law had to struggle to intervene before the fiery family argument temporarily stopped. Na-jong felt self-pity for herself, but compared to herself, she cared about her mother's feelings infinitely more. She didn't want her mother to continue blindly sacrificing for her children anymore. She hoped her mother could be a little selfish and live her own happy life in her remaining years. The next day, the sister-in-law thick-skinnedly invited her mother-in-law to lunch to flatter her. She continued to apologize and persuade her to come back and help babysit, but this time, she decisively refused her daughter-in-law. She declared she would no longer dedicate herself and sacrifice blindly. She would not use the happiness of her children and grandchildren to define the value of her own life. She wanted to live for herself. That evening, Na-jong gifted her mother a premium, all-inclusive travel voucher. She hoped her mother would enjoy happiness that belonged solely to her alongside her friends. As for babysitting for her, Na-jong managed to get her father-in-law's help. The injury on his leg had completely healed, and he also really liked playing with kids to amuse himself in his old age. He was the most suitable person at this moment. The next day, her mother dressed up beautifully, wearing light makeup with a radiant appearance, full of vitality. She and her close friends dragged their suitcases to the airport, starting a free and joyful trip she had always dreamed of. After nicely arranging a trip for her mother, Na-jong's other troubles hit from her husband's side. That evening, Na-jong saw her husband Won Bin returning home dead drunk with a gloomy expression. She asked what was wrong, but he wouldn't say, just sullenly went to sleep. It wasn't until the next day at the company that her colleague friend Mi-suk pulled her into a corner and revealed an earth-shattering secret. Mi-suk whispered, saying rumor had it a female host in the company had taken poison to commit suicide, and the alleged cause was related to Ning's husband. Na-jong was shocked and hurriedly found a few close junior colleagues to ask about the specific situation. According to their gossiping, the woman who sought death but failed was none other than Na-jong's husband's secret lover. People in the company had caught the two of them alone together during work hours many times. Someone even saw department head Seo fiercely scolding Na-jong's husband in the meeting room, blaming him for not thinking of his devoted wife at home while fooling around. Because of this shocking scandal, scandal. Na-jong went home to confront her husband and demanded he clearly explain the affair. However, Won-bin didn't say a single word of justification or apology. He only said that the other party had her own untold hardships and things were not as she thought. Her husband's shielding attitude made Na-jong extremely disappointed and pained. In her eyes, her husband always thought he was right, was authoritarian and patriarchal, and now was even a philanderer. Won-bin also got angry in return. He blamed Na-jong for hastily condemning her husband like a criminal without fully understanding the whole story. Because of this matter, the married couple had an unprecedentedly massive argument that night. Won-bin angrily left the house right in the middle of the night. Na-jong sat alone in the empty house, waiting all night, but her husband didn't return. In a wave of loneliness and despair, Na-jong instinctively recalled the beautiful memories of when they first fell in love. There was a golden era when Na-jong used to be the most famous home shopping host at Sweet Home Company, while her husband at that time was just a green producer newly entering the profession. Initially, Na-jong had no affection whatsoever for this guy Won-bin. She only saw him as a handsome but crude, impolite, and arrogant guy. During one time when Na-jong was confidently hosting a live sales program on television, Won-bin constantly interrupted her through her earpiece. He bossily demanded that she follow his rigid script instructions. After the program ended, Na-jong flew into a rage, running over and fiercely scolding Won-bin for his lack of professionalism. But it was precisely because of that fateful argument that the two went from disliking each other to becoming closer. That evening, Won-bin sincerely invited Na-jong out to dinner to apologize and make peace. Under the influence of alcohol, Na-jong both sobbed and smiled, accepting Won-bin's sincere apology. Also on that fateful night, Na-jong completely changed her perspective on this young man. In a tipsy daze, she took the initiative to pull him by the hand into a nearby motel, and from that night on, they officially became a sweet couple, paving the way for their subsequent marriage. Returning to the troubled present, her father-in-law was sitting and comforting Na-jong. He said that growing up doesn't mean being truly mature. No matter how old humans get, they will still make mistakes. Na-jong curiously asked her father-in-law how he and her mother-in-law could live together harmoniously for so many years. The father-in-law pondered and replied that it was thanks to the word compassion. He explained that throughout a long period of living together, because they went through so many ups and downs together, a couple would develop deep sympathy for one another. This sounds somewhat sad, but it's actually the most precious thing that keeps the spark of marriage alive. That evening, Illinois Rai and Sangyu went for a romantic dinner at a fancy restaurant. Unexpectedly, it was a small world. They ran right into her gold-digging ex-boyfriend and his rich girlfriend. What surprised Ilri was that Sangyu proactively lied to the guy, saying they were dating seriously. He even boldly asked the other party to know their place and stay away, so he could take care of Ilri. Illinois Ri's cheeks flushed pink with shyness. She didn't understand what Sangju was calculating in his heart. The sly ex-boyfriend immediately exposed them. He realized Sangyu wasn't Ilri's real boyfriend, but was just acting. Illinois Ri ignored him and intended to walk away, but the ex-boyfriend kept pestering and following her relentlessly. At the critical moment, Sangyu stepped up to protect Ilri. He tightly held her hand and demanded the other man let go of his woman. Sangju declared that he was already history. Thanks to Sangju's strong intervention, the ex-boyfriend finally had to walk away in frustration. But the relationship between Ilri and Sangju became incredibly awkward after tonight's charade. Illinois Ray shyly thanked Sangju. She said even though he already had someone in his heart, he still righteously helped, pretending to be her boyfriend to bail her out. Unexpectedly, as soon as this sentence was uttered, Sangju looked straight into her eyes and frankly confessed his love. He said the person in his heart was none other than Ilri. He confessed that since they were in college, he had secretly harbored a crush on her like that. Now, reuniting after so many years, those feelings remained intact, and he was overjoyed. Sangju revealed that this fateful reunion made him realize there was no one in this world who could make his heart flutter as strongly as she did. Sangju sincerely asked Ilri if they could try dating officially. Seeing Ilri still hesitating and confused, Sangju didn't rush her but gently said he could wait for her to think about it. As for Ju-young, she didn't quite understand why Ilri didn't agree immediately to a good man like Sangyu. Illinois Ri just hummed and hawed, saying she didn't hate Sangyu but still had many fears. At this time, her thick-skinned ex-boyfriend called to harass her again. He declared that he still liked Ilri and wanted to get back together with her. He even shamelessly proposed getting married right away and hoped she wouldn't see Sangju anymore. However, Illinois Rai was now awakened. She just said a few cold words and hung up the phone. She had long seen through his fake and greedy nature. Ju-young was also resolving the major matter of her life. That day, she and Sung-min went to the family court to file for an uncontested divorce. After completing the procedures, Sung-min invited Ju-young for one last cup of coffee as a farewell. During that time, he sincerely apologized to her. He said that during their previous argument, he shouldn't have said such excessive words that hurt her like that. He admitted that no one understood her desperate desire to be a mother better than he did. Ju-young sighed. She confessed that actually, she wanted to have a child to mend the relationship that was on the verge of breaking with her husband. Now, divorcing like this was also good, freeing both of them. She said if they had a child, they wouldn't be able to easily let go of each other anymore, and the child would suffer then. The only thing Ju-young wanted to know now was whether her husband truly loved her when they got married that year. Sang-min firmly nodded, confirming that he did, but even he himself didn't understand. If he loved her like that, why did he change after marriage, needing lifeless dolls for company? Sang-min couldn't explain his own psychology, but the romantic scenes from when he first met Ju-young, the sweet memories of their time in love, remained vividly present in his mind. A few years ago, when Na-jung and Won-bin were dating, during a meal with Na-jung's two best friends, they happened to run into Sang-min. Sang-min was a friend from Won-bin's school club days. Seeing him eating alone and lonely, the girls enthusiastically invited him to join their table for fun. Sang-min was naturally shy and not good at communicating with women, so Ju-young attentively welcomed him, helped him arrange his cutlery, and struck up a conversation to get acquainted. During their subsequent dating period, Ju-young noticed a beautiful pair of shoes and wanted Sang-min to buy them for her. Sang-min, innocent as a child, fearfully said he heard a rumor that if you gift shoes, your lover will walk away. Ju-young had to promise she would never leave him before he agreed to buy those shoes for her. Now, sitting in the cafe, Ju-young sank deep into those beautiful memories of the past. For her, the sweeter the past, the more painful the present separation felt. The next day, Na-jung and her two best friends had to attend a mutual junior's wedding. Hearing her friends talk about Ju-young's and Il-ri's recent hardships, Na-jung burst into tears right at the wedding reception. She blamed herself for being too busy with work recently to timely care for and share with her two best friends. Il-ri's ex-boyfriend still refused to accept defeat. He blocked Sang-gyu's path to pick a fight out of jealousy. Under Il-ri's fierce scolding, the two men temporarily stopped their argument. The ex-boyfriend still stubbornly held on to the delusion that Il-ri still loved him. He firmly believed that Il-ri found another man just to make him jealous so he would come back. Il-ri immediately refuted his argument. She bluntly stated that she genuinely liked Sang-ju. She even shockingly declared publicly that she and Sang-ju had already spent the night together. After being rejected by Il-ri in such a decisive and ruthless manner, the ex-boyfriend finally gave up. Sang-ju, standing nearby, was incredibly thrilled, as if bursting with joy inside. He couldn't wait and wanted to get closer to Il-ri right away. Il-ri stammered, essentially giving her tacit consent to Sang-ju's previous confession. But she also emphasized that they had to take things slowly, step by step, without rushing. Witnessing the positive romantic progress between Il-ri and Sang-gyu, Na-jung and Ju-young also had mixed feelings. Both believed that Il-ri not telling them about spending the night with Sang-ju was because she truly considered them family, because they were too close and respected each other. Some deeply private matters were hard to bring up. Thinking of this, Na-jung suddenly thought of her husband. She wondered if behind her husband's concealment and strange attitude, there were also similar unspeakable troubles. Therefore, Na-jung decided to meet with the company's department head to find out the truth about her husband's affair. Rumor had it that at that time, the department head had scolded Won-bin terribly for philandering. When they met, the department head stated that he only called Won-bin in to give him a brief lecture to maintain his image because he had heard bad rumors within the company. However, during the conversation, Na-jung perceptively noticed that department head Seo's gestures and gaze were incredibly unnatural and evasive. Suspecting something shady, Na-jung went to the hospital to visit the female colleague who was supposedly her husband's lover. Unexpectedly, she happened to overhear Wai-na's agonizing soliloquy when the latter also came here to visit. Yi-na seemed to feel extremely guilty and terrified, but no matter how much Na-jung stepped in to press her for answers, she remained silent, bowing her head and crying, not daring to say a word. At this time, Mi-suk sent Na-jung an important sneak photo. The photo showed that someone anonymous had sent an email to the superiors accusing department head Seo of sexually harassing a female employee. Mi-suk theorized that Won-bin probably wasn't having an affair at all. Instead, he might have just wanted to help the harassed female colleague. But unfortunately, no good deed goes unpunished, and he ended up bringing disaster upon himself. From that clue, Na-jung recalled the time she had caught Department Head So, harassing Waina not long ago. Realizing she might have misunderstood her husband severely, Na-jung hurriedly sent a text apologizing to him. Finally, Won-bin returned home after leaving for many days. He confessed the entire secret he had been trying to hide to protect everyone. Just as Na-jung had theorized, the relationship between her husband and that girl was completely pure, with no illicit affair whatsoever. It was just because that girl was constantly harassed by Department Head So, and he wanted to step up to help her file a lawsuit. Na-jung gently hugged her husband to comfort him. She knew that although her husband had always been a bit patriarchal, he was always a righteous man with a kind heart. However, reporting his superior for sexual harassment was no small matter. Once involved in this battle, the jobs of both Na-jung and her husband at Sweet Home would be severely threatened. To keep their livelihoods and protect their family's peace, Na-jung had to suppress her feelings and advise her husband to back out of this meddlesome affair. Won-bin understood his wife's worries, so he agreed and promised not to let her worry anymore. They thought everything had been settled smoothly in a peacemaking manner, but deep down, Na-jung didn't feel at ease at all. Her conscience was pricking her. At the company, Department Head So specifically sought out Na-jung for a private talk. First, she tried to act close, reminiscing about the past, saying she was the mentor who had guided her into the profession. Then she subtly threatened, reminding Na-jung not to stir up trouble lately. She promised that as long as she knew her place and stayed quiet, her career would definitely advance continuously. Na-jung clearly understood the dark intentions behind Department Head So's sweet words. Because that male department head suspected of harassment was actually her husband, she was trying to silence everyone to protect her husband's reputation and power. Initially wanting to protect her job and family, Na-jung had intended to turn a blind eye as agreed, until one day the kindergarten teacher called, asking Na-jung to come to the school urgently to resolve an incident involving her child. In class, a little girl fell, got scratched, and cried, saying a boy had pushed her. Coincidentally, Na-jung's son was the one who witnessed the entire incident. The boy assertively told the teacher that the girl tripped and fell on her own, not pushed by his friend. The teacher couldn't determine who was telling the truth and who was lying, so she asked the parents to come. Na-jung asked her son again, and the boy firmly stuck to his story, asserting the boy was innocent. Na-jung decided to trust her son and assumed that the little girl had either misunderstood or lied. But a few days later, while cleaning up in the evening, Na-jung discovered an unfamiliar, brand new toy car in her son's backpack. After pressing him, the boy mumbled an admission that it was a bribe gift from that boy. The truth was that day, that boy had indeed pushed the girl down. Na-jung's son had intended to tell the teacher the truth, but the other boy had given him the expensive toy car and asked him to lie for him. Learning the truth, Na-jung strictly scolded her son and lectured him. She said that if he lied for a small benefit and covered up for bad things, he wouldn't be able to become a good person later on. These past few days, Na-jung had been frequently reading to her son an educational comic book titled The Voice of Conscience. But now, looking at the book's content and thinking back to how she turned a blind eye to the harassment at the company, Na-jung felt an immense pang of conscience. She felt so hypocritical, teaching her child one thing while doing another. After many sleepless nights tossing and turning in thought, Na-jung made another brave choice. She decided to discuss with her core husband to jointly report the case of the harassed female colleague to the company's ethics committee. She said if even a mother like her took the lead in lying and covering up evil, what right did she have to teach her children to be decent people? Her husband agreed and supported his wife's decision. He said as parents, they must live responsibly to set an example for their children. While Na-jung made her difficult choice, her two best friends were also facing important crossroads. Illinois had just started dating Sang-gyu officially. To prepare for a romantic picnic with him, she had bustled in the kitchen early on, making lots of love-filled rice balls. While having fun on their outing, Illinois curiously asked about Sang-gyu's past relationships. She wanted to know how many people he had loved. Sang-gyu honestly replied 3 people, including 2 brief flings and 1 deep relationship that lasted 3 years with a female doctor at the same hospital. Illinois immediately felt unreasonably jealous. She asked incessantly about the reason Sang-gyu broke up with his ex, as well as their past memories. Before Sang-gyu could finish, Illinois threw a childish, jealous tantrum. She scolded him, saying, didn't he claim she was his first love? How come now another woman popped up whom he had loved deeply for so long? On their next date, Illinois returned to her old ways, once again asking about Sang-gyu's ex-girlfriend. She wanted to know if that person's personality was similar to hers. Afraid that he was still lingering on the image of his old flame, Sang-gyu perceptively realized Ilri's jealousy and excessive concern, so he deliberately said teasing words to provoke her for fun. When Sangju went to the restroom, Illinois Wright couldn't suppress her curiosity and sneakily checked her boyfriend's phone. Unfortunately, she was caught red-handed by him. Sangju wasn't angry at all, but smiled, opened the phone, and read aloud the newly received message to reassure Ilri. Feeling ashamed of her childish action, Illinois Rai frankly admitted to Sangju that she was jealous. Sangju, however, found Ilri very adorable and genuine at this moment. He said he liked her jealousy because he knew behind it were her sincere feelings for him, but at the same time he also promised that in the future he wouldn't let her feel so jealous and insecure anymore. Ju Young was also dealing with post-divorce psychological issues. Although she had filed papers at the court, she still couldn't forget her ex-husband. Sometimes she went online to research deeply into the psychology of people who had a hobby of collecting sex dolls, trying to understand the root of her husband's behavior. One day, her mother-in-law arranged to meet Ju Young to talk. Her mother also went along to protect her daughter. Her mother-in-law bluntly dumped all the responsibility for the divorce and the lack of children onto Ju Young's head, not her son's. She argued that the daughter-in-law didn't know how to please her husband or how to bear children. Leading to this state of affairs, Ju Young's mother immediately fired back fiercely to defend her child. She asserted that the responsibility fell entirely on her son-in-law. She said if it weren't for his sick, bizarre hobby of collecting dolls, the two wouldn't have reached the point of going their separate ways. These words made the mother-in-law take offense and feel displeased. She emphasized that those dolls were art, not obscene things like Ju Young and her mother thought. To prevent the conflict from escalating, right at that moment Sangmin appeared and pulled his mother outside. When it was just the two of them, Ju Young got angry at her mother. She blamed her mother, saying she shouldn't interfere so deeply in her private life. She argued that her mother shouldn't have said those hurtful words about her ex-husband just then. She said she was over 40 years old already and fully capable of handling her own affairs. She didn't want to continue playing the role of an obedient daughter who sat wherever her mother placed her anymore. She declared that even if her life plummeted into the abyss of failure, she wouldn't need her mother to come clean up or take responsibility for her. Na Jong's work crisis continued to be tense. To set an example for her child, Na Jong and her husband bravely sent a report accusing the department head of harassment to the ethics committee. The committee summoned the department head for a confrontational interrogation, but he was cunning, blatantly lying and denying all allegations. Conversely, he shamelessly shifted all the blame and guilt onto the harassed female colleague. He emphasized that she was the one being flirtatious, clinging to, and seducing him. Hearing that her husband was summoned by the ethics committee for investigation, department head Seo was extremely worried about both their positions. That evening after work, department head Seo secretly met with Waina, who had also been harassed by the department head but hadn't dared to speak up yet. According to the investigation procedure, Waina would be the next witness summoned by the committee for her testimony. Department head Seo used her power to pressure and entice Waina. She hinted that Waina should be sensible and minimize the big issue, turning a small issue into nothing. At the same time, she promised to support her and put her on air during prime time if she cooperated. Out of career ambition and fear of power, after much deliberation, Waina chose to sell out her conscience. She decided to collude with department head Seo and her husband to lie. Blatantly, she gave false testimony to the committee that the harassed female colleague and Won Bin were actually having an affair. The male department head also chimed in with Waina's false testimony. He touted that Na Jong's husband deliberately fabricated the story, creating this harassment scandal as a diversion to cover up his own affair. Immediately after, Won Bin was summoned by the ethics committee again. He tried to explain, emphasizing that the department head and Waina were colluding to blatantly distort the truth. But the committee already had a prejudice from the testimonies of multiple people, so they temporarily didn't believe his words. Afterwards, he went home and confessed another truth to Na Jo. He revealed that Na was also one of the victims who had been harassed by the department head, which he had witnessed. Na Jong was stunned, recalling the scene she had witnessed in the hallway corner, and guessed that Na had been manipulated and bought off by the company in this matter. The fact that the company used the victim herself to cover up the truth and frame good people made Na Jong extremely furious and disgusted. Department head Seo sought out Na Jong again, scolding her for biting the hand that fed her and betraying the person who had favored and supported her. But Na Jong was very clear-cut in her views. She said she respected and was grateful for her guidance, but she couldn't turn a blind eye to the wrongful, immoral actions of her husband. But not long after, colleague Park revealed to Na Jong that recently there was a malicious rumor circulating in the company about her husband. Everyone was whispering that her husband reporting the department head was just a trick of crime prying thief to cover up his affair. Added to that was the news that Na had just been promoted and moved to host during prime time. This further cemented Na-jong's suspicions. Both Mi-suk and Na-jong tacitly understood that Na had definitely been bought off by the company with benefits. Na-jong believed that a lecherous guy like that department head surely hadn't only harassed one or two female colleagues. As long as they could find another brave victim to step forward as a witness, the truth would be exposed to the light. Therefore, Na-jong secretly contacted two close juniors to ask around and probe. The two of them mentioned a former female intern surnamed Kim. Word had it that this girl used to work under that department head but quit abruptly without reason. After working for less than 3 months, Na-jong felt like she had grasped a final ray of hope. She asked an acquaintance producer for the contact information of that female intern. The kind producer helped her look into it, but unfortunately, that person had gone abroad to study right after quitting and had cut off contact. Even more unfortunately, Na-jong going around asking for information alerted department head So, putting her on high alert. To counterattack, department head Co set a sophisticated trap. She asked a close supplier director to contact Na-jong's husband. She instructed him to arbitrarily slash the product's price heavily during the upcoming live broadcast and lie that this had already been discussed and agreed upon with her. Bin cautiously wanted to contact department head Co again to confirm the information, but she deliberately didn't answer and turned off her phone. With the broadcast time approaching and no other way, he had to believe the director's words and allowed the product price reduction during the program. As a result, after the program ended, Bin was heavily reprimanded by department head Co in front of all the employees, lying blatantly that she had never discussed or agreed to any price reduction with that director. She falsely accused his arbitrary price reduction of causing the company heavy revenue losses. The supplier director had also long colluded with department head Co, flatly denying what he had said to Bin. Bin, losing control in a fit of anger, punched that backstabbing director. Department head Co immediately used this as an excuse to demand that Bin take full disciplinary and compensatory responsibility for the incident. He painfully realized he had fallen into the perfect trap set by department head Co and her husband. He felt incredibly guilty towards his wife, but Na-jong didn't blame her husband a single word. She told him to keep his head held high and swore that she would definitely help her husband clear this wrongful accusation at any cost. After that incident, Bin was transferred to the arduous logistics department. In contrast, because of her merit in committing perjury, Junior Na was promoted like a kite catching the wind, becoming the main host of the highly coveted primetime slot. Na-jong sought out Ina privately to have a frank conversation. She criticized Na for being too selfish and ungrateful. She reminded her that when Na was fresh out of the gate entering the company, it was Na-jong's husband who had helped her a lot. However, faced with the sharp questioning, Na still vehemently denied it, denying her perjury and refusing to step up to support Na-jong and her husband. Out of options with Na-jong had to go find the supplier director who had coordinated the deception against her husband, but he closed his office door and refused to see her. Even having the security guards chase Nong away like chasing an evil spirit, Na-jong was not one to give up easily. She switched to searching for the social media activities of that director. She discovered that he was a golfer and frequently visited a luxurious golf club in the suburbs. That day, Na-jong went to the club and lied to the female receptionist that the director owed her money and hadn't paid. She asked her that if she saw him arrive, she must absolutely notify her so she could collect the debt. Meanwhile, at the company, department head Co continuously pressured and suppressed Na-jong in every way possible to make her realize the difficulty and voluntarily submit her resignation. She scheduled her with a dense and grueling work roster. She almost had to continuously host programs at midnight and dawn. Those were all dead slots with the lowest viewership. To keep her job and wait for an opportunity, Na-jong gritted her teeth without a single word of complaint. She began days of endless overtime, regardless of day or night, causing her health to decline. But despite trying so hard, department head Co still found all sorts of excuses to make things difficult. She criticized that Na-jong's complexion on camera looked too terrible, gray, and lifeless. She said looking like that couldn't arouse the audience's desire to buy cosmetics, criticizing her for not knowing how to take care of herself. She even said straight to her face that if she couldn't handle the pressure, she should just submit her resignation to save everyone the trouble. Illinois RI was also facing her own psychological difficulties. After dating Sang-gyu, she felt as if she had regained the youthful happiness that had been estranged for so long. But whenever she thought of her premature menopause and her potential infertility, her heart felt as heavy as carrying a boulder. her. Her close subordinate advised that if she hid these important matters from her partner before marriage, it would be no different from emotional deception. Illinois' psychological burden became even heavier because of this. In daily life, Songju treated Ilri extremely well and attentively. He always spoke gently to her and personally went into the kitchen to cook her delicious and nutritious meals. And tonight, in a romantic setting, Songju unexpectedly proposed to Ilri. He said he wanted to hold her hand for the rest of his life, building a happy home together. Illinois Rai felt hesitant and utterly bewildered, especially when thinking about the secret regarding her reproductive health. Right at this moment, Na-jung called for help. Tonight, her father-in-law had urgent business and had to return to his hometown, leaving no one to babysit. Na-jung had to ask Ilri to come and watch her 2 kids for a while, so she could go resolve some work. Illinois Ri and Songju hurriedly went to Na-jung's house. Songju thoughtfully brought toy gifts for the 2 boys and happily played with them, hitting it off perfectly. While resting, Illinois reprobed Sangju, asking if he really liked children. Sangju firmly confirmed that he did. He confided that he was an only child and had been very lonely since childhood, so he always longed to build a lively little family filled with the laughter of children. He said if he married her in the future, he wanted to have an adorable daughter exactly like her. Hearing that sincere desire from Sangju, Illinois Ri suddenly went silent, her heart clenching in pain. On the other hand, Na-jung received a text from the golf course receptionist, notifying her that the director had arrived at the club tonight. To turn the tide and clear her husband's name, Na-jung immediately drove to the club to intercept him. Unfortunately, department head Seo's husband was also with that director, caught red-handed secretly meeting together. The aggressive man pushed Na-jung roughly to the ground. He ordered her to know her place and stop, and not to stick her nose into adults' business if she didn't want to regret it. After Na-jung returned home in humiliation, Illinois Ri helped her put a band-aid on the scrape on her hand. Na-jung felt somewhat lost and discouraged. She wasn't sure if what she was doing to help others and confronting evil was truly right and worth it. She even started considering compromising, giving up, and quitting her job to end the matter. Songju spoke up to encourage Na-jung, saying that kindness requires courage. If she chose to step back now, she could console herself that it was for her family. But what about her children? Later on, they would look at their mother and learn the habit of irresponsibility and cowardice in the face of evil. Sangju's profound words of encouragement helped Na-jung regain her fighting spirit. She suddenly thought of the fact that the director and the department head frequently rode in the same car. Perhaps the dashcam in that car had recorded their shady conversations. It could very well be the crucial clue to turn the tables. The next morning, Na-jung saw her 2 sons wake up early on their own, putting on their socks neatly without their mother reminding them. Even though the time their parents spent with them had decreased due to busyness, the 2 boys said they preferred their currently busy mother because there were more radiant smiles and confidence on her face than before. Faced with the innocent affection and support of her children, Na-jung became determined to fight the evil forces to the end to protect what is right. Illinois Rai was also fiercely battling her own torn inner self. Today she once again went to the hospital for a general health checkup. The results this time continued to confirm that the previous checkup had no errors whatsoever. She truly suffered from premature menopause, meaning her chances of becoming a mother were almost zero. The doctor prescribed a specific medication for her to regulate her hormones, but when she got home, in front of Sangju, Illinois relied that it was just ordinary health supplement vitamins. Sangju trusted her absolutely, so he didn't think much of it, and Ilri also lacked the courage to tell this heartbreaking truth. Only when snuggling in Sangju's arms watching a movie at night did she secretly turn away and involuntarily shed tears. She really loved Sangju very much, but didn't know how to face him in the future when she was incomplete. As for Ju-young, she was on a journey to find ultimate happiness. Post-divorce, after finalizing the divorce procedures, her ex-husband, Sang-min, unexpectedly gifted her a pair of shoes as a parting gift. It was the exact designer pair of shoes that Ju-young had once desperately wanted when they were dating. But back then, Sang-min didn't buy them for her because of the silly fear that gifting shoes would make his lover leave. At that time, he feared that if she wore a beautiful pair of shoes, she would confidently walk out of his life. But now he was willing to let go, hoping these shoes would take Ju-young to a better place and find new happiness worthy of her. Ju-young's heart was heavy with sadness and belated regret. Not long after, she decided to contact her ex-mother-in-law to get to the bottom of things. She wanted to know the root cause behind her husband's bizarre doll collecting hobby. After some hesitation, her mother-in-law recounted the entire heartbreaking truth of the past. Actually, this had a huge connection to Sang-min's deeply traumatic childhood. When he was little, little, he was very weak and cried often, so he was frequently beaten ruthlessly by his alcoholic father. At that time, to protect her child, his mother closed her clothing shop and temporarily stored the store's 2 mannequins down in the dark basement. Those 2 lifeless mannequins became the only friends he relied on throughout many years of a lonely childhood. To comfort her son, she named them and lied that they were guardian angels sent down to protect him. The innocent Sang-min believed it was true. From then on, whenever he was beaten and scolded by his father, he would hide in the basement to keep company and confide in the angels. Now, while recounting the old story, Ju-young's ex-mother-in-law couldn't hold back tears of regret. Actually, she urged Ju-young to have a child quickly because she believed that the presence of an innocent child would heal her son's childhood traumas. Hearing her mother-in-law's recounting, the knots in Ju-young's heart were gradually untied. It turned out the husband with a childish appearance and bizarre hobbies was essentially just an overgrown child, deeply traumatized and never healed. Returning to Na-jung, she was still continuing her lonely battle to find justice. That day, thanks to the receptionist's help, she found out the secret gathering spot of the supplier, director, and the perverted department head. Then, she secretly went there, disguising herself as a hired driver to take that director home. She intended to use the opportunity of him being drunk to steal the memory card from his car's dashcam as evidence. But just as she was about to take action, Na-jung saw a limply drunk Wee-na being supported out of the car by the lecherous department head, and that director was also making groping advances. Worried about Ina's safety, Na-jung no longer had the mind to think about stealing the memory card. She immediately stepped on the gas. Rushing her car to block the front of the department head's car, she dashed out, pulling Ye-na behind her back to protect her like an older sister. Faced with Na-jung's brave and chivalrous act, Wee-na finally mustered all her courage to speak up. She yelled loudly, emphasizing that she hadn't wanted to go drinking with him at all, and was forced to. After kicking the department head hard in the shin, Na-jung supported Wee-na to leave safely. On the way back, Wee-na cried while recounting all her grievances and regrets to her. She confessed that because she so desperately craved the chance to go on air during prime time to become famous, she had gone against her conscience, lying and harming people. Na-jung gently reminded Wee-na not to be so foolish anymore, that in this world, nothing good just falls from the sky. She advised Wee-na to learn to distinguish good from evil, and most importantly, to learn to cherish and protect herself. Afraid the department head would continue to come to her house to harass her, Wee-na asked Na-jung if she could stay over for a night. Na-jung didn't hesitate to agree immediately. Returning home, she gave up her warm bed to Wee-na and told her to get a good night's sleep. She believed that after the rain comes the rainbow, and waking up tomorrow morning, everything would take a turn for the better. At midnight, due to insomnia and guilt, Wee-na went to the living room to sit and rewatch the company's old home shopping programs. She felt incredibly remorseful and guilty towards Na-jung and the harassed female colleague. Because she too blindly craved success, she had chosen to turn a blind eye to injustice and act as an accomplice to the bad guys. She had once thought that as long as she closed her eyes and kept her mouth shut, everything would be fine and she would benefit. But the harsh truth proved that she was gravely mistaken. All the words of concealment and deception would ultimately come back to bite her even more painfully. That evening, knowing her husband had caused another huge scandal, department head Seo went to meet Na-jung to negotiate. She got straight to the point and promised all sorts of material benefits and promotions. Her only hope was that Na-jung would maintain absolute silence about her husband's wicked deeds. Na-jung looked straight into her old boss's eyes and asked for the reason. She didn't understand why a talented woman like department head Seo wouldn't just divorce that terrible, philandering husband to be free of the burden. She explained that it was all because of her teenage daughter. She didn't want her daughter to be pointed at and mocked by friends as the child of a sex offender. But Na-jung bluntly said that department head Seo had never truly understood her daughter's thoughts and feelings because she had covered up and indulged such a husband for so many years. Perhaps her daughter was the one who had to endure the most inner torment and shame. Na-jung said she had always respected department head Seo's talent and hoped she could return to being the respectable, upright person she once admired. The next day, Na-jung and Wee-na walked into the meeting room of the company's ethics committee together. In front of the board, Wee-na bravely overturned her entire previous false testimony. She bowed her head, confessing she had been forced to commit perjury, and exposed the secret that the male department head had frequently harassed female employees over a long period. Thanks to Wee-na's firm testimony and evidence, the perverted department head was fired immediately and put under investigation. Department head Seo, out of shame and joint responsibility, also voluntarily submitted her resignation. Won Bin was cleared of of the false charges and reinstated to his old position. But Na-jong couldn't have expected that her resounding victory would be the start of another personal misfortune striking her. Thanks to Na-jong's tireless efforts, justice was partially served. However, things didn't stop there. The next day, colleague Mi-suk breathlessly brought shocking news. The recently fired department head and the director of the supplier company had been criminally arrested by the police. The reason was that the director drove while drunk and caused a severe traffic accident. To investigate the incident, the police extracted the dashcam from the car and unexpectedly found horrifying evidence. The video recorded a scene where the department head and the director jointly sexually assaulted a female employee in the car. In other words, Nong originally thought they only harassed with words or groping actions, but the truth was far more serious and disgusting than she thought. After the department head was imprisoned, department head Seo visited her husband in the maid detention center. She cried and cursed him as a beast in human clothing who ruined their family. But unexpectedly, the scumbag husband shifted all the blame back onto his wife. He claimed that because his wife was too strong and didn't respect him daily, he was frustrated and mistakenly sought pleasure outside time and time again. Na-jong and her husband went to the hospital together to visit the victimized female employee. The weak girl held her hand and thanked Na-jong for bravely standing up to protect her when no one else dared to speak out. Na-jong encouraged the girl to be strong and overcome this shock. She said that living well and happily is the best revenge against the evil people who harmed her. Also, thanks to going through this major incident, the relationship between Na-jong and her husband became more understanding and better than ever. Compared to the weak, always hesitant version of herself before, her husband increasingly loved Na-jong's current strength, decisiveness, and integrity. Na-jong too. After this incident, she further cherished her husband's silent support and kind heart. Unfortunately, the joy was short-lived, as bad news struck Na-jong again. After her righteous act of reporting wrongdoing, Sweet Home Company sent an email notifying Na-jong of her termination, citing all sorts of vague reasons about performance. Mi-suk and her colleagues felt extremely aggrieved for Na-jong. They clearly knew the real reason the company did. This was to take revenge for Na-jong blowing the matter up and affecting the corporation's reputation. To Na-jong, it was an act of protecting justice, but to the leadership, it was an act of airing dirty laundry and damaging the company's image. Her husband was furious and wanted to go to the HR department to protest and demand an explanation, but Na-jong stopped him. She couldn't let her husband get implicated and lose his job too. But at the same time, Na-jong also swore that she would absolutely not sit still and take such an unjust beating. That day, Na-jong stormed straight into the HR department to demand a satisfactory explanation. In terms of performance evaluation and sales, she had completed her tasks excellently, being the most outstanding among her batch of interns. But the HR staff stammered, evading and failing to give a convincing answer. Na-jong switched to requesting a meeting with the company's senior leadership for a confrontation. However, the secretary's office kept delaying, using the excuse that the boss was busy and couldn't schedule a meeting for her. Out of options, Na-jong had to use strong measures. She blocked the leader's path right after a shareholders meeting. She loudly presented her excellent performance during the internship and argued that the company firing her was unreasonable and vindictive. The senior leader looked at her coldly and stated bluntly that the company is a place to make money, not a court for her to pursue justice or play hero. Her actions had disrupted the organization's order and stability. Na-jong's act of helping the female employee was viewed by the company as a challenge to its authority and internal order. That wasn't all. After being fired and packing up her things, Na-jong also heard two malicious female colleagues gloating and gossiping behind her back. On one hand, they thought Na-jong was stupid and shouldn't have meddled in other people's business. On the other hand, they were visibly glad, thinking that with Na-jong fired, they would have one less formidable competitor. Hearing these venomous words, Mi-suk couldn't hold back anymore. She stood up and scolded the two colleagues right to their faces, criticizing them for being old but acting subhuman, selfish, and despicable. Na-jong was touched and thanked Mi-suk for stepping up to speak words of justice to protect her. She felt that such a fierce Mi-suk was really cool and precious. Mi-suk said that if Na-jong needed any help, she could contact her anytime. Department head Seo also came to see Na-jong to apologize before leaving. She lamented that she had made a mistake in blindly indulging her husband, harming so many people. She also encouraged Na-jong to keep striving, because she truly had talent. Despite having differences in opinions, Department head Seo truly valued Na-jong's ability and character. However, Na-jong fell into a state of confusion, not knowing what to do next. After being fired, she returned to being a housewife, staying home to care for her two children and being busy all day with endless nameless chores. While wiping the refrigerator refrigerator, she accidentally dropped a heavy object on her foot, causing a bleeding injury. At that moment, the physical pain resonating with her mental pain made Na-jung burst into uncontrollable sobs like a child. She felt an extreme sense of self-pity, felt unresigned when her efforts were denied, and above all, felt helpless in the face of harsh reality. As for Ju-young, after divorcing her husband, her heart was still fully set on him. Occasionally, she would still find excuses to call and check on her ex-husband's health. Song-min decided to leave the marital home to Ju-young. Tonight, he would move his belongings out. Ju-young suggested they share a simple farewell meal of instant noodles together. He personally cooked her a very delicious bowl of noodles and shared his secret recipe with her for the first time. During the meal, Ju-young mustered the courage to bring up the dolls and apologized for misunderstanding and discriminating against her husband's hobby. Unexpectedly, he flew into a rage. He said he would rather be despised and hated by her than let the woman he loved know about his terrible and weak childhood past. He didn't want to receive pity from Ju-young. Illinois Ri was also troubled because her romantic relationship was coming to an end. That day, her boyfriend Sang-gyu secretly went to buy a diamond ring, intending to propose. He excitedly texted her to arrange a romantic date for tonight. Illinois Ri sighed heavily. After a period of agonizing thought, she finally made a painful decision. During the date, just as Sang-gyu took out the ring and was about to kneel, Illinois Ri coldly spoke up to stop him. She refused to get married and suggested breaking up immediately to hide the secret that she had premature menopause and was infertile. Illinois had to lie so Sang-gyu would give up. She said she was already bored of Sang-gyu and was a celibate who didn't like the ties of marriage. Sang-gyu was deeply shocked and chased after her out onto the street. He didn't believe the words. Il-ri said she had clearly said she liked him before. The way her eyes looked at him couldn't lie. Illinois Ri continued playing the role of a betrayer, insisting that she and Sang-gyu were inherently not from the same world, advising him to know when to stop. Sang-gyu was extremely heartbroken. He looked at her with a gaze of utter disappointment. He truly liked Il-ri very much and wanted to build a future with her. Actually, Illinois Ri did too. Thinking about having to part with Sang-gyu forever, she turned away, unable to hold back her flowing tears. At her workplace, a clumsy subordinate accidentally scratched an expensive prop ring used for shooting a cover photo. To protect the subordinate who was being reprimanded, Illinois Ri generously used her own money to buy this damaged ring. However, her superior didn't care at all about Il-ri's feelings or sacrifice. She even casually said hurtful words. Since you don't plan to get married anyway, you probably won't have the chance to be gifted a wedding ring in this lifetime. Keeping this broken ring as a souvenir is fine too. Hearing this sentence that twisted the knife in her wound, Illinois Ri immediately hid in the restroom and sobbed uncontrollably. Unexpectedly, while washing her hands without paying attention, the ring slipped off her finger and fell plop into the toilet. Illinois Ri had to suppress her nausea and humiliation to reach in and retrieve the ring. Right at this moment, Won-bin sent a message in the group chat. He generously gifted Il-ri and Ju-young a few luxury resort vacation tickets. He hoped the two could bring Na-jung along for a trip to cheer her up after losing her job. He hoped this trip would improve his wife's mood. Illinois Ri and Ju-young agreed immediately, dragging a depressed Na-jung right onto the road to escape. Being able to travel far with her sisters, Na-jung was incredibly happy and temporarily forgot her troubles. During the trip, the three women seemed to return to their radiant youth. They walked barefoot on muddy paths, splashed water playfully on the beach, and went for relaxing full-body massages. They drank wine, ate grilled abalone, and happily chatted all night while admiring the beautiful scenery. Na-jung even thoughtfully bought her two best friends a kilo of fresh, delicious abalone each to send home as gifts. While taking a stroll, the three passed by a mysterious tarot card reading shop. Out of curiosity about the future and life, the three women stepped inside to have their fortunes read. Strangely enough, the old fortune teller seemed to have seen through the hearts and destinies of all three. She looked at Na-jung and said a cryptic sentence. She said she should think carefully about whether the thing she wants to hold in her hand is ultimately a sharp scythe or a rice spoon to feed her family. She turned to Ju-young and divined that her heart's door, which had been tightly shut for a long time, already had a strong wind blowing in. She should just open it. Finally, she looked at Il-ri and spoke words as sweet as honey. Her life force, which was already dried up and cracked, was about to have a sweet, refreshing rain shower poured down upon it. After leaving the fortune-telling shop, Na-jung and Ju-young excitedly tried to analyze the old woman's words. Only Il-ri remained pensive and silent throughout. Na-jung mentioned the fortune-teller's prophecy for Il-ri. She believed those words hinted that Il-ri and Sang-gyu were about to have a fulfilling marriage. Seeing Il-ri looking gloomy, Ju-young thought she and Sang-gyu had a petty argument. She immediately advised Il-ri to be a bit sensible and not play too hard to get. According to Ju-young, among the men Il-ri had dated, Sunju was the best, most sincere, and most reliable one. At this point, Illinois Ri couldn't take it anymore and burst into tears, revealing that she had broken up with Sunju. Her two best friends were incredibly shocked and puzzled. Sunju was so good to Il-ri. Why would she arbitrarily and unreasonably break up like that? Il-ri choked up, explaining that she just didn't want Sunju to be disappointed and suffer. Because of her, she said Sunju wanted children, wanted a lively little family full of laughter. In her situation of premature menopause and the risk of infertility, how could Il-ri be thick-skinned enough to tell the truth just to hold on to him? Even if she did tell him, with Sangju's tolerant personality, he would definitely grit his teeth, say it was fine, and suffer the disadvantage. Illinois Ri felt immensely sad and regretful that it was too late when she finally met the man she truly loved. But she couldn't give him complete happiness. Because she was in a bad mood, Illinois Ri asked to temporarily separate from her two friends. Right now she just wanted to be alone to calm down and think. A while later, Na-jung worriedly texted Il-ri but got no reply. Illinois Ri was sitting and drinking alone on the beach and simply turned off her phone. The two friends couldn't contact Il-ri and began to panic, worrying she might do something foolish. Meanwhile in Seoul, Sangju was working at the hospital, absent-mindedly missing his lover. Right at that moment, a female patient returned to look for a forgotten bag of medicine. Sangju helped the patient find it and accidentally discovered that this patient's medication was exactly the same kind of vitamin he saw Il-ri taking a few days ago. After getting a detailed explanation from the patient, Sangju was shocked to learn that it was a specific medication for women experiencing premature menopause. Recalling the words he carelessly said about wanting children before, Sangju suddenly realized the truly heartbreaking reason why Il-ri demanded a breakup. He felt regretful for his thoughtlessness. Unable to contact Il-ri, Sangju urgently called Ju-young. He then learned the bad news that Il-ri had gone missing during the trip. Sangju told Ju-young to call the police immediately. While he quickly drove through the night to the tourist destination hundreds of kilometers away, Sangju was incredibly worried. He sped at maximum speed despite the danger. After arriving, the three of them split up to search for Il-ri everywhere in the dark night. Unexpectedly, they found Il-ri's hat washed ashore by the waves on the beach. In that moment, a feeling of extreme unease surged in Sangju's heart. He was afraid she had done something drastic. By the next morning, Illinois Ri still couldn't be found, and everyone was exhausted. Sangju told his two friends to go back and rest first, while he continued searching without giving up. Na-jung and Ju-young planned to do one more lap on their way back when they suddenly saw Il-ri wrapped in a blanket, sitting huddled on the side of the road. It turned out Il-ri was safe and sound. She explained that last night, wanting to use the restroom, she randomly went into a nearby public building. Who knew the security guard didn't know and locked the door from the outside, trapping her inside. This morning, she had to wait forever before someone came to open the door so she could get out, and her phone was dead. Hearing the news that Il-ri was found, Sangju hurriedly ran over and hugged her tightly, not knowing where she went wrong. At this time, her former junior colleague Gwena visited her house and brought her some premium Korean beef as a gift. Seeing Na-jung struggling with making videos, Ina took a look and gave frank feedback. Gwena advised her not to chase after the trendy fads of the youth, but to do what truly suited herself and her age group. Ina's words served as a timely wake-up call. Na-jung began to seriously think about what her true strengths were. In the afternoon, Na-jung went to pick up her two sons from school and found her son's pants stained with stubborn, messy crayon marks. Immediately, Na-jung had an idea and got her answer. Afterwards, Na-jung changed her channel's topic to items used and verified by a nursing mother. She started creating content around the role of a mother, household tips, and authentic product reviews. Not long after, Jin-hee excitedly ran over to her house with good news. She said she had watched Na-jung's new video and saw the channel's subscriber count skyrocketing by the hour. Seeing the positive signs, Na-jung decided to strike while the iron was hot, immediately recording and releasing a few more new videos consecutively. For example, a video comparing and introducing the washing effectiveness of different laundry detergents on the market. Because this was her familiar area of expertise, she spoke with great confidence and persuasion. Soon the video views surged, receiving many positive responses. But not long after, the views began to stagnate and drop, making Na-jung incredibly anxious. It was another day picking up the kids from school. Na-jung put her two sons in their child safety seats in the car. She casually mentioned to Jin-hee, who was with her, that this type of seat was of very good quality and safe. Jin-hee immediately suggested why Na-jung didn't make a detailed review video on the topic of safety seats. Since many mothers cared about it, Na-jung thought it made sense. so she sprang into action again. She stayed up all night to research, analyze the technical data of the seat, recorded the video, and uploaded it that very night. Early the next morning, Na-jung was awakened by the continuous buzzing of her phone. Opening her eyes to look, she was overwhelmed and burst into happiness, seeing it full of comments and messages of praise from fans about the safety seat video last night. Thousands of comments. The video had truly blown up on social media. Even a famous actor left a message thanking Na-jung because thanks to the video, they had chosen a good seat for their child. Very soon after, a representative from that safety seat manufacturing company proactively contacted Na-jung. They said that thanks to her authentic promotional video, their seat sales increased non-stop, continuously selling out. Her video even saved the entire company, which had been on the verge of bankruptcy due to slow sales. Therefore, the company decided to make a big investment, bringing the product to a TV home shopping channel to expand the market. They earnestly hoped Na-jung could participate in the program as a special guest to introduce the product. Ironically, the TV shopping company they wanted to partner with was none other than Sweet Home, the place where Na-jung had just been bitterly fired. Na-jung fell into a dilemma, not knowing whether she should return to the old battlefield or not. This time, Won Bin fully encouraged his wife. He thought this was a golden opportunity, killing two birds with one stone. It was both a great chance to promote her personal video channel and an opportunity for her to return with her head held high, proving her abilities to those who had looked down on her. He believed that with Na-jung's current ability and status, she would absolutely achieve brilliant success. With her husband's absolute encouragement and trust, Na-jung decided to accept, returning to Sweet Home as an honorary guest. On live television, Na-jung delivered a perfect, emotional, and persuasive presentation of the safety seat product. About 10 minutes into the program, the entire stock of safety seats in the warehouse was completely sold out. The sales figures immediately climbed to the top of the station's record charts. After the program ended with resounding success, the senior director, who had once looked down on and fired Na-jung, had to swallow his pride and come apologize to her. He even lowered himself to invite her back to work for the company as an official employee with high compensation. But this time, Na-jung smiled and proudly declined. She said that compared to being a shopping host confined within a company, she had found a path of freedom that's more. She yearned to move forward on more. She chose to be an independent content creator, being the master of her own life. During that time, Illinois Ree decided to marry Sang-ju. She began going for wedding dress fittings and preparing for a dream wedding. She also enthusiastically planned to introduce a matchmaking prospect for Ju-young, thinking her friend was still single. Unexpectedly, she happened to overhear Ju-young talking on the phone very sweetly and affectionately with her divorced husband. Asking about it, she found out Ju-young and her ex-husband Sang-min had fallen in love all over again and reunited. Ju-young frankly shared with her friends that because there was no longer the heavy pressure of having children or past misunderstandings between the two, their sex life was now incredibly harmonious and sublime. Moreover, lately, her husband had been caring for her as attentively as in the early days of their romance. One day, Ju-young felt unwell and nauseous in her stomach. She thought it was indigestion and bloating, so she told her husband to go buy digestive medicine. Unexpectedly, after seeing the doctor, she burst into tears of joy upon discovering she was naturally pregnant. Seeing the two bright red lines on the pregnancy test, the married couple hugged each other and cried from emotion and unexpected happiness. The little angel had come to them when they least expected it, when their minds were completely at ease. A year passed by, and the lives of the three women had turned to a brilliant new page. Currently, Illinois Ree had been promoted to the powerful editor-in-chief of the fashion magazine. She lived a sweet, happy married life with Sang-ju, a husband who always understood and loved her unconditionally. Ju-young gave birth to a pretty, adorable daughter. She mended her fulfilling marriage with Sang-min, their little family filled with laughter. Her mother-in-law also changed her attitude, loving her daughter-in-law and granddaughter immensely. Na-jung achieved brilliant success with her video channel. She opened her own small media company. The wonderful thing was that she invited Mi-suk and the kind-hearted Jin-hee to join as core employees, developing the career together. During their free weekends, the three close friends still gathered together as usual. They still cheerfully chatted together about trivial matters in work, family, and life, just like the old days. Life's challenges certainly wouldn't disappear completely because of this, but because they had precious friends always by their side to share, the hardest moments would eventually become lighter and better. Today was Na-jung's birthday. Won Bin gifted her a sparkling diamond ring as a birthday present. Making up for last year's apron, Na-jung put the ring on her finger and smiled happily. She silently made a wish, hoping hoping that every woman among us, regardless of age, gets to live as brilliantly, bravely, and happily as this very moment.